What is happening out there, Roto Scouts baseball fans? Good to see you guys. Welcome to a Friday show. Monster 13-game slate up tonight. A lot to get through. Late in the afternoon, post 4 o'clock start. Raining here in the New York area for this first game on deck. Seems like it's passing storms. Should be okay, but it is currently wet outside. Got all dark about a half hour ago and started pouring for a couple minutes. Anthony Taylor's here. Happy Friday to you too, pal. My Lanes is here. What's going on? I want to start the show real quick by giving you guys a big thank you. We're over the 1,000 subscriber mark, finally. Cracked that last night. We were at 999. I saw it, and I posted it in Discord, and somebody got us over the mark there. So hopefully we picked up a few more in addition to that so that we're comfortably over. We don't lose one and then fall back. But, yeah, it was a long slog to get there, and now we won't have to talk about that. So if you're new here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We need to get to 2,000 subscribers. We need 10,000 subscribers. World domination. Let's go. Make this happen. But I appreciate every single one of you guys. So definitely was a big day in Roto Scouts history. I also noticed as I was looking at that, we actually cracked the 500th show. It went without much fanfare actually on Wednesday. It was weird. It was at 500 after yesterday's show, but I guess it wasn't counting it because now it's at 501. So happy 500th show, gang. We'll call this one the anniversary show or whatever. Appreciate all you guys that help get us here. Everybody who comes out every day. Everybody who's brand new. Those of you who stop by for 10, 15 minutes to see what the hell I'm rambling about before you go somewhere else. Every single one of you guys is appreciated. Enough love. Let's dive into this show. Again, monster slate to talk through. I just threw up the update for the currently confirmed lineups that we've got. This conditional formatting in this column is so weird. Now those guys are just blank. Let me redo that. We have basically everything in play today. We've got pitching to work with. We've got bats to work with. We've got rain issues all over the place. A lot of big totals. I would say the one thing that this slate kind of lacks is the Coors Field game. No Coors. Rockies on the road in Baltimore. You also don't have the monster upside that would come with, say, Tampa being at home, but they're playing in Cincinnati, so that one juices up nicely. And we don't have the Athletics playing at home. So outside of that, we don't have launching pads necessarily, or those three big launching pads in play. We got a lot to work with here, including that first game on the board there. As I just mentioned, we do have rain in the issue in the area. Roth's take on it earlier in the day was chance of a brief late start. Nothing beyond that. Like I said, it's raining right now, so they would probably wait it out for a half hour or whatever if the game were to be starting right now. Doesn't seem like it's going to be raining for the next, 5-6 hours over here. So we're probably fine in that one. Monster upside in on both sides offensively, 4.56 implied total for the Phils. Yankees coming in as a slate leader at 5.55. They're also cracking the top of the power index. So they're just aggregate home run marks against Taijuan Walker looking pretty solid. It's a 97-something degree day here in the New York area. Probably cooling down with the rain now, but a lot of offense showing there. And then the Phils could get to Will Warren, but either of those pitchers is certainly talented enough to find a little bit of upside as well. Taijuan, probably the lower end option going up against the Yanks. Will Warren with enough strikeout stuff. Maybe if he gets through clean for power, gets through clean with sequencing, maybe we find a decent game there. The one concern with Warren, as always, is the shorter than average starts. Kyle Freeland on the mound for the Rockies going up against Dean Kramer for the Orioles. Rocks making Dean Kramer look pretty good. Orioles bats picking up a lot at a 5.34 implied total, the second highest on the board going up against Kyle Freeland. Looks like a good spot for the Orioles, who just continue to disappoint us every time we try and go to them, but that's not a reason to avoid them today. Definitely want to get there. Kramer seems useful. Freeland a lot less so. Zach Littell on the bump for the Rays. Just trying to reorganize my page here. Zach Littell for the Rays going up against Nick Martinez for the Reds. High fours implied total on both of those. Both of those teams have the issue in the just trying to average out the player projections, where the bottom of those lineups, not exactly stout, not big time bats down there. So you get a lot of lower projections. It does have a little bit of an impact. I moved them up the stacks board to make it appropriate, but I think for where, this is more a spot of real baseball upside, run scoring upside for sure, but not exactly monumental predictable or projectable major fantasy bats outside of the obvious guys. The top of both lineups look tremendous. They taper off down toward the bottom. Those guys can and probably will come through. We see that constantly, but that's just kind of how it goes through the machine here, and it's going to come up that way when you run lineups, and that's the case on a slate like this, right? A lot of bottom of the lineup guys will end up getting in to help pay for something, but at times they'll also fall by the wayside because there's just so many big choices on the board. But that one's looking juicy as well, with both those teams chasing a 5-run total. The Blue Jays and the and I don't know that we want either of Littell or Martinez. We'll talk them through, obviously, but don't see a ton of upside in that game. Jose Barrios on the mound for the Blue Jays, going against Cater Montero for the Tigers. Kind of wish the Tigers were throwing somebody a little bit better than that at the Blue Jays, but we'll take what we got. Mid-4s implied total on both sides of that one. Jose Barrios can be very good, can also be very, very average. Typically, I look at him as a right about league average kind of a pitcher who's a little bit overrated, but we can get there with him from time to time. There are strikeouts in that Tigers lineup, so we'll give him a look. Like bats on both sides of that one, though. Cater Montero, not for me. Emmett Sheehan in Fenway going up against that Red Sox squad. I don't love it. Kind of short starts. I gave him, I want to say 5. It might have just been the default 4.5 though. I don't know that you're going to get to 5 that the model puts sets everybody to if they're not looking great. Went 3 last time out, 4 1/3 the start before that. 5 innings back on the 6th against Houston. He's given up a few runs. He is a good pitcher, still finding his footing in the show. I don't think we go there for an arm though. 4.70 rather implied total on the Red Sox side kind of also helps tell that story. The Dodgers, one of the top stacks on the entire slate, 4.89 implied total, 4.90 for them as well. They're going up against Brian Bayo. Bayo's another pitcher who can be a decent suppressor of offense, though. He does. He's given up some home runs, but they've come in a couple weird spurts. 2 home runs in last game. He had a 2 home run game back on the 21st. And then just 1 here and there. Had a few big strikeout games on the season. Typically is good at limiting offense, but I don't really see it today against that Dodgers team in this park with those kind of totals. Wouldn't stun me if he had an okay day and then the Dodgers did their thing against the pen, but seeing a lot of offense on that one. Padres and the Cards. Nick Pivetta, talented pitcher going up against the Cardinals lineup that I think is decidedly mediocre, 4.14 implied total. I know they did end up going off yesterday after we talked about them. That's the nature of this team. That's just kind of who they are, and they're really, really frustrating this year. But 4.14 implied total on a board with a lot of totals higher than that does look targetable with a very good pitcher on the mound in Nick Pivetta. And then I think we can consider at least the upside bats from the Padres going up against Miles Mikolas, a high-contact pitcher. Mikolas, not all that interesting. Low strikeout Padres to begin with, and he's not a big strikeout, not a big DFS pitcher. Maybe if you were using him, you'd be hunting for just 7 innings of 1-2 run ball and 3-4 strikeouts. Shota Imanaga on the mound for the Cubs. The White Sox pushing a little bit of upside in his direction. He's definitely capable of working deep into starts. 7 in each of his last 2, 6 innings in the start before that stretch. 3 earned runs over those 20 innings pitched against the Red Sox, at the Yankees, and at the Twins. Pretty good little run there that he's put together. Definitely going up against the White Sox with no Lubob. He's out of the lineup today with groin tenderness. So weakened technically. White Sox lineup. A lot of upside for Imanaga, 3.52 implied total for the Chi Sox. And then Adrian Hauser on the mound got exposed in his most recent start for 3 earned runs, 4 total, 5 strikeouts. Gave up 10 hits in that one, only went 4 1/3, and that was against the Pirates on a day where it was like, all right, this guy's been succeeding against better teams. We could probably roll him against the Pirates. Didn't really work out that way. He is capable enough, though, going up against one of the best offenses in baseball, team that I believe ranks 3rd on the stacks board. I think I lean Cubs a little bit here, 4.58 implied total. The Braves with Joey Wentz on the mound, making his 2nd full start of the season. He went 4 in the first one. I believe he's at 4.5, the default number as well. Doesn't look like a tremendous pitching spot. I don't think we get there with him. And then on the other side of that, it's Nathan Eovaldi going for the Rangers. He's missed. He scratched from a start over the weekend, then scratched from a start on Wednesday. He's dealing with, I want to say, side soreness, which isn't great when you consider that how pitchers have to torque their bodies. But if they're putting him out there, I'm at least interested, especially against a Braves team that's been very up and down this year, pretty free swinging squad. Their power gets them into like the middle of the stacks board, but I'm leaning more Eovaldi. He's been spectacular when he's been on the mound. My one concern would be the short start. Rangers bats going up against Joey Wentz, definitely on the board, 4.40 implied total, but maybe a little bit more tempered expectations just with the season-long scuffles that have gone on there. Mackenzie Gore on the mound for the Nationals going up against the Twins. It's Zebby Matthews coming back the other way. I'm seeing a decent amount of upside for the Nationals, and they're only at a 3.84 implied total. I actually made James Wood the home run pick of the day because he's just showing a big power number. At least at the top of that lineup, I'm kind of interested against the young pitcher. Zebby's good. Really good stuff, but he's giving up some runs. He's just still finding another pitcher, just finding his way so far in the show. So I think we can maybe get a little bit sneaky around some Nationals bats. That's my hope anyway. And then a 4.76 implied total for the Twins going up against Mackenzie Gore, who has definitely run into some issues in several recent starts, but capable of giving you 6-7 very, very good innings. That's a back and forth situation to me. Guardians and the Royals, 2 low 4s implied totals on that one. Even up kind of a game with 8 runs on the board. It's Gavin Williams. It's Michael Wacha. You can use either one of those pitchers. You can use either squad against either one of those pitchers. I probably would lean slightly pitching and slightly Gavin Williams as we break that one down. We'll get to it a little bit later on, several hours from now. But that game just kind of falls with a little bit of a thud. There's not a ton to love there outside of the obvious. The Athletics and the Astros, 4.56 implied total on the Astros side going up against Jeffrey Springs. And the Athletics will be facing Ryan Gusto. Definitely can see some offense in that one on both sides. We've got the obvious power bats from the Athletics. We've got the up and down from the Astros that they provide. So definitely workable on that one. Less intrigued by the pitchers there. Brian Wu going for the Mariners, I'm definitely interested in. Tremendous pitcher all season long, pitches very, very deep into games. He has not started a game in which he did not complete the 6th inning this year. Every single start, he's completed the 6th. He's out of all those, he's made 19 starts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of the 19 were not booked as quality starts. Every other start he's made was a quality start. Dude is just awesome. Going up against a free swinging Angels team, they do have power. We're seeing a little bit in the home run model for the Angels, a lot less projection wise. Jose Soriano on the bump for the Angels going up against the Mariners. More than capable of getting there. There are strikeouts available in Seattle's lineup. He is a talented pitcher. He's a good suppressor of home run power, which if you take that away from that squad could be a little bit concerning. I'm a little less intrigued by the Mariners bats than I might typically be, but that 4.22 implied total and the big thunder in that lineup, certainly in play against a pitcher like Soriano as well. They just traded for Josh Naylor, not in the projected lineup. I haven't seen a report on whether Naylor's available for them today. Ryan McMahon, who the Yankees just picked up today, despite being in Baltimore, is not in the Yankees lineup. Not sure if he makes the ballpark late and is available to pinch hit or whatever. Probably see him debut tomorrow. Those are the 2 big trades so far. I like the pickup from McMahon for the Yankees. I was talking about it. My one concern, well, let me get through this. Rounding things out, the Mets and the Giants, 7.5 total. Clay Holmes against Logan Webb. Webb, obviously one of the aces in the major leagues. Keeps the ball in the yard very effectively. Does have mid type strikeout stuff that can spike up better strikeout games. It's a very, very good Mets lineup that's showing some quality against, though. I'm not really looking to go Mets all that aggressively. 3.57 implied total. They landed in kind of the middle of the board, but better than maybe the average team would look against Webb. And then Clay Holmes is also pretty good at keeping the ball in the yard outside of a few bumps along the way. The one issue with Holmes is the short starts that he's been running into, and seems like he's tiring a little bit. Guy that was a career reliever converted to a starter this year. That's to be expected. We'll see if he can pitch through it. He did go 5 1/3 in the last start, but gave up 4 earned runs, 5 runs total, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks. The strikeouts have evaporated a little bit. So I'm not in love with the Clay Holmes option, but he is suppressing the upside for the Giants. 4.02 implied total in that pitcher-friendly park at the end of the night. So yeah, as I was saying, my one concern, McMahon fills the hole defensively that the Yankees had or helps with the defensive issues, fills the massive hole they had at third base. That's the only spot, with the exception of Anthony Volpe, who we can do nothing about right now. It's the only spot that they don't have a big bat at. So adding him in that spot, I'm a fan of. He's a good defensive third baseman, so that should help big time. Lefty bat, Yankee Stadium, that all works for me. My big concern, and I mentioned it in our free Discord, which is linked down in the description for this video if you're not already in there. You don't have to be a member at the site or anything else. I was mentioning I don't love the idea of him bouncing off the idiot Yankee fans, my fellow Yankee fans, but the idiots in the crowd who don't understand the value of 3 true outcomes type hitters like him. If he goes out, starts out hot, we won't have a problem. If he goes out, strikes out in a couple key spots, goes over his first like 12, which is more than capable for Ryan, more than in the cards for Ryan McMahon, it could get real ugly real fast with those boo birds. And we've seen better players get run out of town for that. So a little bit concerned around that, but it is a good pickup. I would much rather have had Eugenio Suarez, but what can you do? So here's our pitching slate, guys. Brian Wu, as mentioned, tremendous. 10-4, 10-5. Easy to get to in my mind at those prices. You're getting a little discount on Logan Webb at 93 as compared to Pivetta, as compared to Evaldi down here, which we don't really know what the depth looks like. Shaving a few $100 off of not only the top 3 guys there, but also some of these competitors in this range really makes Logan Webb interesting. Very challenging matchup. As mentioned, the Mets are showing a little something in the projections, and that lineup is tremendous. A couple future Hall of Famers probably in that lineup, but Webb is really good. So I like that on DK at 93. Would play on FanDuel at 10-2. Pivetta I'm interested in. 10-3, 10-2. Seems perfectly fair. That's a gettable Cardinals lineup. Mackenzie Gore's the wild card here. It's not been great in a few spots going on the stretch, but Model's got a long memory. Got some faith in the guy. 94 and especially at 87 on DraftKings. At worst, he's in the blender with the top guys, right? Even if you took 3-4 points away, if he was in, say, the Jose Barrios spot here, he'd still be in that mix pretty firmly, at least on DK at 87, maybe a little bit less so on FanDuel. And when you can throw Imanaga at the White Sox for similar pricing, when you've got Dean Kramer for even less against the Rockies, there are options to move around. Gore probably goes a little under-owned, though, for his talent. Obviously, a tremendous spot there against the White Sox. This one's a major question. I believe in that projection, and maybe it's a little low if we were to have full faith, full of Aldi, go get him. I question the value there. If he just goes 5 and then, all right, kid, go hit the bench. Let's see if we can win this one for you kind of a conversation because of the soreness. That's a concern. But as I said, if they're willing to put him out there, then I'm willing to roster him. He is that good. Kramer, he's a mediocre pitcher, mid-board kind of a guy, but going up against the Rockies helps everybody when they're not at home. 9,000, 8,000 against those free swingers should have plenty of upside, particularly there. That's a good upper mid type SP2 option that you can bolt on with any of these guys. I feel like that's going to be a popular combo, though. You do have the ability on a board like this to do the thing we've talked about before, where maybe you're running some crunches, some lineup builds where you're excluding those top end guys. You're excluding all of the best pitchers, all of the most expensive pitchers, not because you don't want them, but because there are capable guys down here where on a slate of this size, combining 2 of these guys could give you a little purchasing power in your lineups and could keep you still on the two best pitchers of the day. You know, as good as Wu is, as good as Webb is, they're closer to the pack than some of the other aces in baseball. So I think it would pay maybe to at least make sure you're exploring combinations of these guys. You know, a Gav Williams and a Barrios. Begrudgingly say Barrios. Obviously Kramer, but he'll be popular, I think, in that equation. But Kramer and Zebby certainly works, even though I'm showing some power for Zebby. I would say at least everybody in that, 13, 20, 25, 12 and a half, 25 kind of range, right? Including these guys. Probably worthwhile. Ryan Gusto could beat that Athletics team. I don't love Jeffrey Springs there. Sheehan, I don't know that we get the depth, but he's only 6,400. So if he finds a few Ks along the way, it might be okay. Soriano more than capable of giving you a good score at 7,200 there. So there's a lot to work with. Clay Holmes projects out all right, but I feel like this is closer to a ceiling projection for Clay. Might crack 30 and 15 overall, depending on how he goes. But we're probably looking at 5. Maybe he comes out to get an out or 2 in the 6th if all's going great. But he's being more gettable lately. Warren is a wild card too. 8,000 and at 73 on DraftKings. There's value there for sure. He can find some Ks against that Phillies lineup, but he also might get beat up pretty bad by that Phillies lineup. Sun's out, by the way. That rainstorm already passed. We'll see if another one comes through. Again, all these guys just kind of in that blender. Let me skip down toward this part of the board and talk about, like, I don't really want those two in that Cincinnati ballpark with, again, maybe underwhelming full lineups, but many, many capable bats in both of those lineups and decent sequencing and run scoring abilities. Bayo against the Dodgers is a little challenging, especially at 85. More in the mix at 78 on DraftKings, I think, but not really an appealing spot with the Dodgers showing all they are. Michaelis against the Pods, I don't really see, but he is very, very cheap. So if you're just looking at clean innings, maybe. Hauser against the Cubs feels like a no, especially at price 88, 85 is just a little silly. I know he's been all right this year, but come on. Taiwan is a no. Freeland, Montero, and Joey Wentz are pretty firm no's. Shauno says it. Yep, 1K. Appreciate you guys. I mentioned at the beginning of the show. Elastic said it as well. Thank you, buddy. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Keep it rolling, though. Keep telling people. As I said, we got to get to 2,000 now. As we get started here, guys, if you haven't already, hit the like button down there. Actually does help. If you're new, subscribe to the channel. We've got 1,000 people who like this channel, and we're piling more in every day. Free Discord, link down in the description for you. Come join the community, even if you don't subscribe to the channel or on YouTube. Just come join, hang out if you're a chat-type inclined person. Do a lot of talking in there about general baseball and thoughts and answer questions about slates and everything. Check out rotoscouts.com. All access under $1 a day to get the baseball projections, individual player home run model number for each player, confirm lineups. I put up the projected in the afternoon and then confirm them as we go. So you get that custom home run model number for every single player. You can see how that's playing up some Yankees power today. A little bit for Kyle Schwarber as well in Yankee Stadium. You get the top stacks rankings. You get the power index. You get the home run picks. One home run pick from every single team, plus the home run pick of the day. Kind of arbitrary, but fun. And then you get the newest feature is you get a snapshot of each of these game-by-game screens, exactly what you see on your screen here. It's a static snapshot. It's not giving you the full file here to manipulate and move things around the way you want, but you get all of these stats, everything laid out just like this. It's literally a screenshot of what you're looking at right now. So if you can't make the show one day, you'll have access to the game-by-game, and you'll be able to spot some of these things yourself with the player values, all the projections and numbers all put together. So go give that a look over at rotoscouts.com. Appreciate everybody who's already subscribed. Looking to pick up some more. Going into football season in a couple of weeks. Football's included for that same under $1 a day. So will be NBA and NHL once those seasons start up. And that's going to be a lot of work for me. A lot of fun, though, too. 4.57 implied total for the Phils. 5.55 implied total for the Yankees. Taiwan comes in with a 3.30% home run rate allowed. It comes on a 12.9 degree average launch. Not bad so far this season for contact, but stuff plus well under the mark here. 3.75 ERA, but a 4.36 xFIP. Not enough strikeouts, too many walks. Looks like a good day to bank on some Yankees coming through. That said, when the Yankees look good, a lot of times they end up flailing at the plate. Taiwan last season over 83 2/3 gave up a 13.4% barrel, 6.30% home runs. That was obviously problematic. Much better than that the year before and the year before that one. Depends on which version of Taiwan. He can be very roller coastery, very hit and miss, but I'm banking on some of that power coming through. Will Warren checks in with a 26.7% strikeout rate for the Yankees, but a 10.7% walk. There are some bumps around the edges. That's how you get to a 4.91 ERA while also having a 3.54 xFIP. Kid is very, very good. Still rounding into form, still finding consistency. What he's given up is a lot of barrels, 9.2% barrels and 45.6% hard hits. When you add that on top of the walks that might put extra guys on base, and you have thunder like Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, and some of these other guys in the lineup, it is a challenging spot. I don't love going to Warren here. He projects out fine, 7,300 especially. He is very much in that mix of SP2s on DraftKings. 8,000 on FanDuel. I'm a little more skeptical about him as a standalone starter. It's a good price. He does come with strikeout upside against this team, 21.8% with some of their bigger bats having strikeout, but also not necessary, not mandatory for this slate to go to either pitcher in this game. Phillies bats, that fantastic trio up top. Everybody's expensive. There's really no quarter as far as not spending money until you get down toward this part of the lineup, which is okay because all three, at least of those guys, are not bad at all. Otto Kemp comported himself just fine over 115 plate appearances, so he's usable. And then Bryson Stott's usable. So this is a very strong 9-man lineup from the Phils. Just difficult to punch all three of those guys into stacks while getting quality in other spots. A little bit more affordable, maybe, on FanDuel. That's not actually true. These are relatively the same prices, and you only get 4, so even more challenging to average them down. You obviously want all three of the stars. Turner's got 11 homers, 25 stolen bases. Tremendous option as a table setter, individually capable, 115 WRC plus. Schwarber has 34 home runs on the board, a 314 ISO, 157 WRC plus. Monster left-handed bat to target that right field porch. Could be a huge couple of days for Kyle Schwarber shares. Same thing with Bryce Harper. Bryce and Aaron Judge joined the 350 home run club, and you've had Bryce Harper in the league for longer, but Bryce Harper's actually younger than Aaron Judge is. Youngest to 350. 5,500, 3,800. He's got 14 homers, a 502 slug, a 231 ISO, 394 xWOBA. The power output has bounced around somewhat, especially when it comes to home runs, but he's a fantastic option. And if you're throwing him against the contact that Willie Warren's allowing, there's definitely upside. He's not even a big strikeout bat. He draws a ton of walks. Schwarber and Harper could beat Will Warren just on the walks alone and let the other guys do the damage with the bats. Nicky Castellanos at 45, 3,013 homers on the board for him, a 104 WRC plus. You do hit everybody in the bottom of the Phils lineup, oddly below average if you're looking at WRC plus, and a couple guys like 15, 20 points below average, but those are all capable bats who have been better than this over time. They're all guys who are still hitting the ball pretty hard. 4 out of those 5 guys have mid-40s hard hit rates. 2 of them have double-digit barrel rates. The other 2 guys at respectable enough barrel rates. So there is plenty of usable talent there. I wouldn't call somebody crazy if they just ended up with like that as a 3-man. Nicky Castellanos, JT Realmuto, and Brandon Marsh for cheap pricing. That's a $3,800 a piece 3-man. That works. Every one of those guys is good. Realmuto this year, 269, 322, 388, and 97 WRC plus. A little bit of a power outage despite still hitting the ball hard. Striking out around the same rate, walking around the same rate. There aren't that many differences going on with Realmuto. He's lost a little bit of barrel, which has probably cost him a couple extra home runs, but still a very capable bat in the heart of the lineup. Many opportunities to drive in runs. Marsh, good at getting on base. As I've talked about a bunch, I like him better as a wraparound guy when I get him in the 9 spot. I kind of wish they had Marsh and Stott flip-flopped in this lineup. Kepler at 35-28 is a good option. 11 home runs, big lefty bat in Yankee Stadium with plenty of power. Otto Kemp at 32-26, multi-position eligible. Solid slash line so far, just under the mark for run creation. And then Stott, steals bases, capable bat, solid hit tool, 7 home runs. The power comes and goes. Not a good season for him outside of the 15 steals so far. It's been better than that in years past, though. 32 stolen bases last year. On the Yanks side, Trent Grisham in the leadoff role again. He's doing well up there as far as getting on base. Some of the numbers have cooled around the edges, but still a 14% barrel in the aggregate, 17 home runs, a 217 ISO. Lot to like about that. You're just plunking him into the outfield. This is an outfield-heavy team, though. You want Stanton, you want Belly, you want Judge. So difficult to get all 4 of those guys into your outfield on either site. You do have the first base eligibility on Belly on the FanDuel slate, so you can use all 4 of those guys on FanDuel. Just a little bit challenging is how they come together. There's some high prices around, obviously, Judge and Bellinger. Stanton's still cheap at $4,000, though. Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge. Cody Bellinger having a really good season. 18 home runs, 285, 335, 506, a 132 WRC plus. Absolutely want both those bats in most of my Yankee stacks. Stanton at 4 at 3,200 has a 10 plus in the home run model. Grisham's at 10.35, Judge obviously at a judging kind of number, and then Jazzy at 10.61. Tons of power showing as stated, but Stanton for the cheap price, given how he's swinging the bat, he's hit 5 home runs in 97 plate appearances, slashing 271, 361, 482, creating runs, 212 ISO. He looks just like Giancarlo Stanton to me. So absolutely take advantage of the cheap pricing. Jazz is just good and worthwhile at those prices. 18 homers, 10 steals, a 255 ISO, 136 WRC plus. Another lefty you could absolutely mash in these conditions at Yankee Stadium today. Goldie for only 37 for 3,000 on FanDuel. He hasn't been crushing the ball this season. 8 home runs, but a solid 8.1% barrel, 42.3% hard hits. Those are good, not spectacular numbers, and obviously down for him year over year, but he's getting toward the back end of the career now. 116 WRC plus, 345 xWOBA, tremendous slash line. He's still very worthwhile, and the price has gotten a little too low. Austin Wells, 35, 3,000, 14 home runs. You're looking at him just as a power bat at the catcher position for a fair price, especially where you need the position. 3,500 works pretty well. 10.1% barrels, 47.8% hard hits. Volpe still does hit the ball hard. Got to give him that much. 214, 286, 400. As the Yankees management will tell you, good range at shortstop. The quality of the play comes and goes, but he's here, and he will be. He's playable at those prices. Not all that appealing. And Ozzie Peraza probably on his last day at third base, at least as a regular. 23-21 has not really come through much. 3 homers, two stolen bases. We've talked about him a bunch because he's always cheap at the bottom of this lineup that we do want to get to a fair amount of the time. So you can play him. Once upon a time, he was supposed to be something, but he never became anything. Yankees bats, Phillies bats, Will Warren, Taijuan Walker. Walker probably less playable than anything. Rockies and the O's. Still no Orioles lineup, doesn't look like. A lot of the lineups are in, though, for a slate like this. Fortunately, they didn't go for the 6:40 start. 7:05 starts on both sides today. Not that we're going to take all that time to get there. Rocks at just a 3.77 implied total against Dean Kramer. He's pitching to a 4.06 ERA, a 4.19 xFIP, sub 20% strikeouts. Not bad as far as premium contact and power goes so far this year in 115 innings over 19 starts. Last season, he gave up a little bit more, 9.8% barrels down to 7.6 this year. But the hard hits, the exit velo, he was good at inducing weak and medium contact in that season. And a 3.25% home run rate last year is not terrible. So he's not awful for power. He's not a great strikeout option, but he should find a couple extra strikeouts with this team. 23.1% strikeout rate for this confirmed lineup, and that's bolstered by the 8.7 from Tyler Freeman. When we talk about the heart of their lineup, the big bats in this lineup, I can't leave Tolly out of that. That's a 26.7% strikeout rate. So could be a big day for Dean Kramer fans. 8,000, 9,000 across sites. That FanDuel price is obnoxious, but playable. The 8,000 works. They didn't really price him up for the matchup on DK. Kyle Freeland at 55, 7,000 is pretty worthless. 5.19 ERA, a 4.08 xFIP if you need one positive attribute. 16.5% strikeouts. The walk ratio is not bad, but look at all the barrels, the hard hits, the exit velo. That plays pretty well up against the Orioles' power here. So I'm looking at some of these O's. Even though they've been disappointing throughout the season. Those are not over the magic number, but we've got a lot of guys at least in good home run range. So lean Orioles bats here, 5.34 implied total helps you understand that as well. Second highest implied total behind the Yankees. If you're looking at Rockies bats, it's difficult to justify outside of the fact that they are interesting for premium contact, for power, but Kramer's been good at limiting that this year. You've got Hunter Goodman with 18 homers with all these barrels and hard hits. Jordan Beck barrels the ball pretty frequently. The hard hit rate needs some improvement. He's got 11 homers, 11 steals, and a solid slash line 104 WRC plus. Very playable if you're going to the Rockies. Mickey Moniak's had a good breakout year at 3,800, 2,900. He's still in play. 15 home runs on board, 267 ISO, 123 WRC plus. A lefty bat going up against a mid-grade type righty. Could be a day for Mickey. Not bad as far as the premium contact, but again, if Kramer's doing his thing and putting that in check somewhat, then you kind of get just a guy who strikes out a lot. Tyler Freeman definitely puts the ball in play effectively, draws a fair amount of walks, good table setter up at the top. Needs help from his friends after that. So maybe we see Freeman on base a couple times and not that much else out of the Rockies. Ezekiel Tovar in the heart of the lineup, 3,000, 2,700. 5 home runs and 158 plate appearances. Just a 177 ISO, but a 356 xWOB under the covers. Hit 26 home runs in 695 chances last year. For the power upside in general, a little bit cheap at 3,000, 2,700 at shortstop. Very playable if you're going Rockies. Not really a reason to go out of your way to get Rockies. If you're just needy at shortstop, you've built the lineup that left out shortstop, put your pitchers in, and now you got $3,000 to spend on DraftKings. It's not a terrible one-off option. I'm not sure who else is exactly in that territory price-wise at short, but Tovar's capable of delivering for that price just as a pure one-off guy. Tyler Estrada hasn't had a great season. It's been a limited. 284, 312, 397, and 82 WRC plus, just a 265 xWOBA. The front end of that slash line is a little misleading. 2 home runs, a stolen base, a couple runs scored. He's okay if you're already going Rockies. Jankiel Fernandez hasn't done much of anything with his 39 plate appearances, but does have a little prospect pedigree. Orlando Arcia hasn't done anything in the last 2.5 years. And Michael Talia down the bottom of the lineup is a total wild card. Sub Mendoza, sub 300 on base pretty dramatically. 58 WRC plus, 10 home runs, and capable of mashing. Was a lot better last year. Top of the O's with Jackson Holiday at 39, 3,000. He's got 14 homers, 9 stolen bases, a 104 WRC plus. Excellent option to throw at Kyle Freeland, even with the lefty-lefty. I'm just going to not sweat it against a heavy contact pitcher like Freeland. Jordan Westberg with his big-time power. A lot of barrels, fair amount of hard hits, 10 home runs in just 209 plate appearances, 200 ISO on the nose. Not bad. 113 WRC plus, very playable at second base or third base on both sides. Gunner for 47-33, just 11 homers and 13 steals, mediocre slash line. Well, good overall, but mediocre for him slash line. Let's say over 400 plate appearances, 341 xWOBA, 51.7% hard hit. There's still a lot to like about Gunner, especially on a day when they're pulling such a big total. I think they're going to be popular. There are plenty of other options on the slate, so you can easily undercut O's stacks while still getting fair amounts of some of the players and just use them differently, spread them out into one-off situations, shorter stacks in other lineups. Depends what the popularity looks like, though. Ramon Laureano at 42-33, 14 homers for him. As we looked at the other day, it's his best season since, what was it, 2018, 2019? Tyler O, 3,300, 2,900. If he's in the lineup, he's been another guy just dealing with some general soreness. If he's there, you can play him. Big-time power upside, especially against a pitcher like this from the right side. Masher of baseballs, he's just been missing for most of the season, and usually it takes him a minute to find his timing, so really question what it's going to look like once we get more regular plate appearances out of O'Neill. Colton Cowser's a masher at 43-28, 8 home runs on board for him, a 195 ISO over 171 plate appearances. Very solid bat who had a nice breakout last year for power, and honestly pretty affordable at both prices. Ramon Urias, 31-27, very usable, especially against a weak lefty. Love the upside for him as just a sneakier option maybe, especially if the other guys in this lineup get popular. Move down board a little bit, and you can get to a under-owned probably Ramon Urias, under-owned probably Kobe Mayo for 28-23. He's had 95 plate appearances. He's right at the Mendoza line. There's nothing appealing about that or his 299 xWOBA, his 0.94 ISO. The contact is okay. There are positive attributes there, and he's just supposed to be better than this. We've got enough track record coming up to say that he's probably going to be better than this. Just needs to find it in the show. And then Jacob Stallings is going to do the catching. Orioles bats, Dean Kramer. Rockies bats, no Kyle Freeland, really. And Rockies bats are very loose. Hey, Power, what's up, buddy? Power says I'm still here, just been super busy. No worries, man. Life is important. Life is your life. Things going on, probably a little more important than making sure you're here for this DFS show every day, but I appreciate the hell out of you, pal. Captain America Bleed says, hand building. My eyes have me looking at the cheap twin stacks. Might throw a few lines at them now. Michael Knack likes that one as well. Completely forgotten who the Twins are playing. We'll get there. Who are they playing, guys? Help me out. There they are. Going up against Gore. That's right. Too many games. They're certainly cheap and have been outside of Buxton, obviously, but he's fantastic. I don't know. I kind of like Mackenzie Gore. It's tough. There's power available. He's given up a lot of premium contact, a lot of power, but he's a good strikeout pitcher. Some of their key bats do have a little strikeout on. 3.59 ERA, but a 3.29 xFIP. Misses bats at a 14% swinging strike rate. If they get him, it's going to be through here. They're definitely in play, right? That 4.76 implied total is juicy. But it might be a spot where it's a little bit more indicative of good baseball spot, less so DFS spot. But this is a Twins team that I do like that we've talked out through the season. especially when they get cheap. Playable at worst. So I just don't know that I would be necessarily as excited about it as maybe you are. And that's why we play the games, right? That's why we all build lineups and compete against each other. The spot you're excited about that I'm not might be the difference maker for you. Speaking of, I think I forgot to put in my placeholder lineups. All right, there's time. All right, Rays and the Reds. So, like I said, these are just two frustrating teams to have in this situation where they're both drawing pretty big totals because you've just got weak bats down here that don't project great for DFS. Like Caballero picks up a little bit based on his stolen base bonus upside, but he's mediocre. Taylor Walls doesn't project out great, but he could be capable from time to time. Also, another guy who picks up a little bit of stolen base bonus. Danny Jansen is what he is. Jake Mangum is a quad A player who's down below 300 now, having a good year for a quad A player, but he is very much that. It's a 5-man Rays lineup, and then you get what you get out of those bottom guys, and it's never going to project out well at the bottom. So if we just went with the pure aggregate, the pure averages, these teams ranked down board a little bit despite the high probability of offense, of fireworks in this game. So I pushed them up the board. I always do that, make sure the teams slot in, somewhat appropriately, but I've got them more kind of in the middle than those two totals might suggest. Wouldn't shock me at all if one of these two teams put up 8 runs today in a solid DFS day. That's easily in the cards. That's why I moved them up the board like that. But I think they're a little bit more challenged for just general quality than some of the others. Zach Littell at 76, 86, 17% strikeouts, a solid 3.5% walk rate. He's thrown 122 innings in 20 starts, 3.53 ERA and a 4.16 xFIP, 4.93% home run rate, kind of glaring. Kind of going to run into some of this power, at least at the top of the Reds lineup. So don't really love the Littell option here, especially not at 8,600 on FanDuel. That's just a little silly. There's even in a good pitching situation, I wouldn't want to pay 86 for Zach Littell on FanDuel. 76, a lot more reasonable on DK. Nick Martinez at 7,000, 7,500. Another low strikeout. 16. These guys are almost exactly the same in that range. 16.9, 5.6% walks, 4.73 ERA, 4.45 xFIP. He's been better as far as inducing weak and medium contact, limiting exit velo, limiting barrels, but it is a fly ball pitcher. If this park's going to play up offense today, you could easily run into a Junior Caminero home run, a Yandy Diaz home run, a Jonathan Aranda home run. No Brandon Lau in the projected version of the lineup. Did they end up putting him on the IL? They did. All right. He went on the IL 2 days ago. So no Brandon Lau available here. So you take their probably best, with apologies to Junior, second best. Let's be fair. Second best home run bat out of the lineup. Still a dangerous spot for Nick Martinez, though, and really no appeal, no reason to go to Martinez outside of if you want one share of every one of the cheap pitchers on DraftKings. No reason to play him on FanDuel. Love Chandler Simpson up at the top of the Rays lineup. 342 on base is a funny tweet that somebody sent out of his StatCast page. I won't take the time because we're short on time to pull it up and show it to you. But if you get a chance, pull up his page over on Savant and just look. He's either full red bar or like full blue the other way. It's like graded at some things and terrible at others and nothing in between. But what he's great at creates fantasy points. Love the kid. Tremendous hit tool. He's hitting 308 over 228 plate appearances, 342 on base, has no power whatsoever, has yet to barrel a ball in that many plate appearances, probably never going to hit a major league home run unless it comes on and inside the Parker, which he's got the speed to do. He's literally the fastest man in baseball. 31 stolen bases and only 228 plate appearances. Just a 95 WRC plus though, 0.043 ISO. You can see the flaws, but as a table setter, as a guy to, a catalyst for offense here, that's a great option. Johnny Diaz at 48.32, a little bit pricey. All these Rays a little bit pricey on DraftKings. Just noticing that. That makes it really difficult to get Rays. That 5-man average is 47.20. That hurts. It's a good spot. Again, you want Rays bats today. But given the fact that to get any Rays full stack, you're going to have to compromise and take one of these weaker options. And again, they can come through. But feels a little compromised by those prices. The Reds are quite a bit cheaper, even with Ellie's big price tag. But you get a lot of barrel. You get a lot of hard hit for your money from those three players. You get good on base skills out of these two. If they're not going out there and hitting home runs, they're at least getting to first base and setting the table for Junior. Junior's got 26 home runs, a 257 ISO, 124 WRC plus. The two guys ahead of him create runs 28% and 47% better than the average player by WRC plus this year. It's a good top end. Josh Lowe deserves that $4,800 price tag if they're pricing everybody on this team up. 29 on FanDuel for him, maybe a little bit light, but he's earned that as well. 243, 12, 385 over 232 chances this year. So probably earned that price down, slight downgrade, 94 WRC plus. It's quite a bit better of a ball player than that, though. You can easily go there if you're going Rays, but he's your last man in out of that top group. Mangum at 43, I don't love that price. 2,800 on FanDuel is okay. Slashing 299, 339, 380, a 103 WRC plus. But again, it's a 30-year-old guy or 29-year-old guy who just got here. And yeah, he's hit for a little bit of average, but has stolen a couple bags. Not doing all that much else to create DFS scoring. Down lineup with Danny Jansen, Taylor Walls, and Jose Caballero there to drive him in. It's dicey at best. Jansen's capable, especially where you need catchers. 3,400. He's probably my guy if I'm building on DK. I probably go 1, 2, 3, 4. Skip Low and take Danny. Oh, wait, I got 2 first basemen there. I can't do that. So I would go, apologies to Yandy. I'll take the cheaper price with Aranda and the direct line of connection there and do that. Still at 44.40. So that's a $4,500 a man stack now. That's expensive. But Danny's there. He's capable of hitting for power. He's got 11 home runs. He's not that great at anything else. 100 WRC plus on the year. And then, as mentioned, Walls and Caballero, they can steal bases. Caballero's up to a 324 on base, 33 stolen bases. His speed and Chandler Simpson's speed, they can wreak havoc on the base pass. Multi-position eligible for Caballero, too. TJ Friedel off the top of the Reds at 4,000, meh. 3,100, meh. But potential good day for offense here. Rising tide effect floats everybody. 9 homers, 10 steals, and 440 plate appearances. He's okay. 365 on base is excellent for setting the table in front of the other guys. 112 WRC plus. Matty McClain, kind of a disappointing year. He does have 11 home runs and 14 steals. Just a 131 ISO, just a 302 xWOB at 82 WRC plus. Way better than that. Couple years ago, missed all of last year, hasn't really found it again. We'll see where it goes. He's not exactly barreling the ball like he did 2 years ago. 10.8 down to 6.8. Needs to find that again to really find his quality. But in any given slate sense, especially at second base for the money, he's fine. Ellie's Ellie, tremendous option on any slate. 18 home runs, 27 steals, a 202 ISO, 125 WRC plus. Austin Hayes, 4,600 feels a little bit expensive for Austin Hayes. I know he's been good this year, but let's temper expectations. I mean, it's going a little crazy. 278, 333, 515, 237 ISO. These are great numbers over 219 chances, but he's a part-time guy. Barrels the ball frequently, but only a 40.8% hard hit, a 24.7% strikeout against not that many walks. Good, not great player. Last year, mediocre and similar. 2 years ago, similar. 16 home runs and 566 chances. He's hit for more power this year. But there are stars who are priced similarly on this slate. Again, rising tide is what you're looking for with this team. 915 in the home run model. It's not like we're not giving him the respect that he's due for what he's done this year and who he is, but that's a big price to pay. Same with 34 on FanDuel. That's a lot. Gavin Lux at 31.26. Okay, slash line this year. Gets on base at a 359 clip. It's just what's behind him to drive him in? Well, actually, that's an unfair question. There are better down lineup bats here that have just kind of underperformed a little bit. But the stretch of Steer, Stevenson, Benson is decidedly better than Mangum, Jansen, Walls, and Caballero. And Noelvi Marte as well. So if Lux is resetting the table at the bottom, maybe that's your path into some cheap Reds. You start at Lux. Or maybe you grab Ellie and then start at Lux and do an Ellie down kind of build. Steer's more than capable at first base. Bad year for him, but he's up to 11 home runs. Just a 146 ISO. The 282 xWOB was really concerning. No premium contact to speak of. Way down from the last 2 years, and he was already only mediocre. Stevenson crushes the ball for a cheap catcher at 3,200. If you're going to raise everybody else's prices in this game, you probably should have done so with Stevenson, where you have to play the position anyway. Just 7 home runs off that, just a 160 ISO, a 92 WRC plus. I get it, but if you're just looking for a cheapo home run positionally from down lineup for a guy who will be under-owned, that's an interesting spot. Will Benson, monster barrels, monster hard hit rate, 8 home runs and 179 plate appearances, 198 ISO. Everything else is wildly inconsistent. 29.1% strikeouts, not enough walks. Frustrating player to have on a lot of days, but major upside bat who, again, probably going to go a little bit under-owned and cheap down the bottom. And then 43-32 for Noelvi Marte. He's got 6 homers, 5 steals in 129 chances this year. Solid slash line. Nothing not to like about that. It actually is kind of a 9-man lineup now that I'm really giving it some consideration for the Reds. Reds bats, Rays bats, really neither pitcher. Did the Tigers trade for Diaz? I hadn't seen that if that's the case. Oh, shit. He did. Got traded there yesterday. How about that? So Yandy's not going to be in the lineup. I missed that one. He is still in the projected up on Labs. Let's see if somebody else has a with low on the IL. I gotta think that through what they would do there. Appreciate you mentioning that. Who pointed that out? Anthony Taylor. Appreciate you mentioning that, Ant. Missed that one. Why do they have to change these pages? Yeah, he's still in all these projected lineups. That's why I didn't catch it. We'll see what we get in that other spot. Whoever it is probably going to just be fit into the pattern of rising tide effect if you're going to the Rays, but it isn't going to be Yandy Diaz. Trade deadline season, always fun. How about them Blue Jays? Kind of getting annoying for those of us who root for other teams in the AL East. We talked about Nathan Lukes yesterday. He went out and had a day. It's a good squad. They really, some of the guys I wasn't really high on early in the season have kind of come through for them and helped lengthen this lineup. I've talked about a bunch. The addition of Addison Barger really helped this squad. And then just their 3 stars kind of playing like they're supposed to outside of the lack of power out of Laddie. It's gotten really interesting, really fast in Toronto. Going up against Cater Montero, another very gettable spot. Would not surprise me in the slightest if the Blue Jays had another big day. 2 guys above the magic number for home runs, but another 3-4 right around, 8.62 for Bo, 9.36 for Addison Barger, Kirk at 7.75 in the midst of a great season. Like the upside for the Blue Jays quite a bit here. 4.28 ERA, 4.56 xFIP for Cater, 16.9% strikeouts against too many walks, a 1.38 whip. This is just not a good pitcher. So definitely looking to target some Blue Jays bats. Not looking to play Cater Montero. And then Jose Berrios. 74-84, 20.4% strikeouts, 3.87 ERA, a 4.31 xFIP, giving up 11.1% barrels this season, 42.2% hard hits, 90.4 miles an hour of exit velo. You know what I'm going to say? This, and this are all over our emergency threshold. And yet he's only at a 3.2% home run rate. That's a little bit high, but it's not nearly as high as it ought to be, given the contact that he's been giving up. So a little bit lucky to be where he's at here, and that would impact this, push it back up toward that. Just 20% strikeouts, too many walks, too many opportunities, not enough swinging strikes. This is at best a league average pitcher. He's priced pretty cheap, though. $7,400 against the team that has plenty of strikeout available for him. Could be an okay, one of those just roller coaster Jose Berrios days. As much as they plummet rapidly toward the bottom of the tracks, they do tick up the tracks as well from time to time and hit those peaks. So I think he's playable, but I'm not interested. Across 150 lineups, I would have a sliver of Jose Berrios shares. More on DraftKings. That 74 works a lot better on DK. 4 earned runs in each of his last 2 starts, 5 strikeouts against the Giants, 1 strikeout against the Athletics. A decent start against the White Sox, 6 innings, 1 run ball, 2 hits, 4 strikeouts, and 2 walks. But I mean, even that is pretty underwhelming. 6 earned runs to the Yankees over 4 1/3. He started that game, if I remember, that was on July 2nd. If I'm remembering correctly, he started that game over the first 3 and change, looking really good. And it was looking like one of those days oh shit, Jose Barrios is going to strike out 9 Yankees and shut them out over 7 innings. And then it all fell apart real quick. Another 6-run game a couple prior to that. He's not gotten completely obliterated this year. The 2 6-run games are the worst of the season. Excuse me, 3 6-run games. He had one against Baltimore on his first start back in March. So do with him what you will. If you're inclined to play Jose Barrios, I won't stop you. He's fine, but he's also not good. Much more interested in bats on both sides. So Luke's 35-27, a good table setter ahead of the trio of, or it's really a 4-man group now, of premium bats that follow. 355 on base this year. Good table setter, 111 WRC plus. Just needs to do that and can show you a little bit more from time to time. He's got a decent enough hit tool. Doesn't strike out. He's a discerning hitter. 12.5% walks, 11.3 or 12.5% strikeout, 11.3% walk. And you get that with all these guys up top, with the exception of the walk rate on Bo Bichette. Everybody in that top 4 doesn't strike out. It's going to be really challenging for Kader Montero, who doesn't strike anybody out and who does walk too many people. You could see him walk all 3 of those guys and Bo Bichette come through with a big knock in the first inning to really bend the score really, really quickly. Vladdy in the 3 spot, 13% barrels, 51.6% hard hits. I promise the home runs, the power output is coming. Just a 159 ISO and 13 homers just completely flies in the face of who we know this player is and what those numbers are. Bo has had a good year, 283, 24, 45, a 111 WRC plus. Absolutely fire him up at shortstop. 46 has gotten back up there, but that's perfectly fine to pay for the talent. 31 on FanDuel, still a little bit cheap. Addison Barger at 42.31 remains very, very affordable for the quality that he's put up this season on both sites. 14 homers, a 244 ISO, a 372 xWOB under the covers if you're not a believer. 293 very, very good plate appearances now. 14% barrels, 55% hard hits. Dude's just good. Alejandro Kirk is 39, where you have to play catchers against Kader Montero. He's slashing 304, 362, 412. 7 home runs, a 108 ISO. He's not been mashing as far as power goes, but he has been mashing as far as his premium contact goes. So a lot of ability to drive the ball. Major, major upside spot. Doesn't strike out, draws his walks. Joey Loperfido had a day yesterday too. 11.1% barrels, 2 home runs on the season and 36 plate appearances. This is reminiscent of Joey Loperfido on his way up through the minors. Maybe finally putting it together at the major league level. We'll see. It's a tiny, tiny sample, but it's at least encouraging. And he's 3,200 on a team you want to get to. Ernie Clement, playable, 284, 321, 392 this year. 97 WRC plus, needs to get back over the waterline there, but a good hit tool, good enough at getting on base. Another guy, incredibly low strikeout. You have 2 different guys in this lineup, sub 10% strikeouts, and then everybody up there in the teens for all their best hitters. These guys, I mean, one guy above 20%, and that's Addison Barger, one of their better power bats. It's a good team. Will Wagner at the bottom, less overwhelming, more underwhelming, whatever you want to say. 2.6% barrels, 41% hard hits. Technically hitting the ball harder than Ernie Clement, but not really seeing much for it. 253, 48, 320. He is getting on base. I'll give him that much. 331 xWOBA versus the 289 for Ernie Clement too. That's just coming out of those hard hits. So maybe a little bit of sneaky upside down the bottom. I just don't love going to a guy like that from the 9 spot at first or third. If I had him at second, I'd be a little bit better with it, but he's a mixer. If you're going to a lot of Blue Jays, you can absolutely include him. Love Colt Keith in the leadoff spot for the Tigers. 339 on base this year. He's come through with 8 home runs, just a 159 ISO, but you can see a solid 361 xWOBA, making tremendous contact at the plate. Another guy with just tons and tons of prospect pedigree. He was one of the upper end prospects in all of baseball coming up through the system. And it's taken him a minute to really find it at this level. Last year, he slashed 260, 309, 380, hit 13 home runs. It's an okay year. 97 WRC plus. He's 3 points below average for run creation. That's not terrible. And if you pile on the experience, Now it's starting to click a little bit more. That's a really interesting option to put ahead of Gleyber Torres, who's had a great year, 384 on base out of Gleyber, 129 WRC plus. We see him in the leadoff spot a decent amount of the time for this team. He's very low strikeout, very high walk, good at getting to first base, but you get a high walk rate out of Colt Keith as well. So two very good table setters who can deliver individual upside too. Those guys are not nothing as far as just them on their own. Either one of those guys works as a one-off. Actually, Colt Keith on both sites for cheap pricing is a really interesting one-off. Riley Green at 5,000, 3,400 has 25 home runs. Spencer Torkelson in the next spot has 22 home runs, 251 ISO, 254 ISO, 136 and 128 WRC pluses. If you're going to the Tigers, those guys are in the vast majority of your Tiger stacks. They're super interesting. They're their two best players. Wensil Perez at 43-28, 7 home runs, a 211 ISO for Wensil this year so far, 166 plate appearances, not zero sample, but it's a not full sample either. But 43, 28, given the 12% barrels and the numbers he's put up so far, you're not paying any kind of tax, really? Well, FanDuel, you're not. DraftKings, I could argue at 43, maybe you're paying a little tax there. He hit 9 home runs in 425 chances last year, had a 141 ISO, but it's coming around a little bit for him as well. So if I'm going Tigers, I'm probably a buyer at that price. He's more appealing individually on FanDuel, though. McKinstry, mix and match quality player, 41-29, having a good year, 274, 353, 450, 16 home runs, 16 stolen bases, 8 home runs, 124 WRC plus. Always playable, just not the major go-to guy in this lineup, but he's capable across the board. Dylan Dingler barrels the ball, hits it hard pretty frequently. 8 home runs in 283 chances, 103 WRC plus out of him, only 3,200 where you need the catcher spot. Parker Meadows at 28-25 has a lot of skills that haven't really come through in 131 chances. He's quite a bit better, potentially anyway, than that 185 slash line. And then Javi Baez, all-star, 10 home runs, 271, 304, 430. Ignore the ex-Woba. I mean, we don't want to ignore ex-Woba, but it's the one glaring thing there that's really saying that like most of this is not real and probably going to crater at some point, but he's made it work. So if you're going Tigers, you can easily go to Javi. Blue Jays bats, Tigers bats, Jose Barrios, don't play Kidder Montero. Oh, wait. So Yandy didn't get traded? Oh, weird.
I just dropped his name into Google and scrolled down to the top stories column, and they have that top. So fucking Google sucks these days, man. They ruined Google. It's amazing. Yeah, whoever the hell TWSN. I just saw that headline and I was like, okay, it must be real. Yeah, so that's a fake report that has now trickled up to the very top result in Google's top stories about Yandy Diaz. What a pain in the ass. All right, so recycling that point, thank you, Captain America Bleeds. And then Anthony Taylor, what are you doing to us? Obviously not his fault. Appreciate the notes, boys. Yeah, Yandy, as Cap was just saying there, confirmed in the 2 spot for the Rays today. I believe this is that's a little bit different. Chris Morel is in the 6th spot versus whoever's there. Love Chris Morel. Honestly, that's an upgrade, or not necessarily an upgrade because I forget who he's replacing, but mediocre as he's been this season, nothing like going backward when we have 13 games to cover. Mediocre as he's been this year at 212, 288, 391, 7 home runs and 198 plate appearances, and a masher of baseballs. Elite swing speed, 3,700, 2,500 multi-position still on FanDuel. Prefer him at the FanDuel price and positioning. I love the idea of getting him at second base when I don't have Brandon Lau in this lineup. So if I'm going Rays, I'm intrigued by the Morel option now, and we do still have Yandy Diaz to work with. So clean that up a little bit. Dodgers at a 4.90, one of the top teams, or the top team, I believe, on the overall just projections average board. We got their confirmed lineup. I have a little healthy respect here for Brian Bayo having that ability to probably pitch above his head from time to time. He's an okay starter. 3.23 ERA this year, but a 4.21 xFIP. That's exactly what I'm talking about. 17.9% strikeouts, 8.5% walks is nothing special there, but he's good at limiting power. Just the 7.7 degree average launch, 6.8% barrels, limited hard hits, limited exit velo, 2.66% home runs against is very, very real. Doesn't really strike guys out, though. 8.3% swinging, 24% CSW. Too many guys on base via the walk. There's good, there's bad. If it's a pitcher like that going up against a team like the Dodgers, I'm going to lean toward the bad side of Bayo and the good side that would push the Dodgers up the board. They're getting there on their own anyway, though. They don't need my help. 4.90 implied total, monstrous for them. You will see that outside of Ohtani, who you just can't suppress, a little bit more limited than some of those guys might typically be in the home run model. That's the Bayo effect here. But sequencing-wise, there's plenty of opportunity for these Dodgers to create runs. You get some mix and match quality players down the bottom of the lineup there. Tommy Edman, Hee-Sung Kim, and Miguel Rojas. Out of the three of them, Kim is having the nicest season in the smallest sample. He's stolen 12 bases, 348 on base, 117 WRC+. You're getting a little bit of WRC+, 103 WRC+ out of Miguel Rojas, 250, 305, 421 with 6 homers this year. Not a bad option. At those prices anyway. Third base, I don't love occupying third base with him though. Like if I'm going to those guys, it's just a rotation of the second base eligible guys at second base and the two that have outfield eligibility into the outfield in some of those lineup builds. So Rojas probably falls by the wayside more than the other two do within my Dodgers builds. Any one of those three guys though is capable and can help you deliver and can help average down the pricing. But I tell you what, some of these Dodgers have gotten affordable. I won't say cheap necessarily on DK, but Paz at 4 is pretty affordable. Teoscar at 42, and most especially Freddie at 43. Kind of works. The top line price is obviously expensive still, $4,800. But remember, the Rays are like the same price. That 5-man average for the Rays was right in that territory. I'd rather have the Dodgers. I'd rather have Shohei, Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, Andy Paez than anybody wearing Rays uniforms tonight. 65-47 seems entirely reasonable for a guy with 37 home runs, 13 stolen bases, and his name's Shohei Ohtani. Will Smith, tremendous catcher bat, 5,300. He's got 14 home runs, a ridiculous slash line, a 401 xWOBA, 171 WRC+, one of their best hitters, and he's a catcher eligible. Love the option. Very expensive at the spot, but I feel like a lot of the time that'll help keep some of the public away. Even when they look good, people aren't necessarily going to want to pay that for their catcher as aggressively as they probably should. So Smith looks really appealing there. Freddie, again, just way too cheap. The numbers are cooling compared to every other year in his career when he's, a future Hall of Famer. But he's slashing 295, 368, 470. He's got a 133 WRC+. He's hit 10 home runs, still has a 9.1% barrel, 45.7% hard hit. Strikes out a little bit more, walks a little bit less. Age is catching up to him a little. But he's still fantastic. For 43, that's a great option. 34 on FanDuel works for me. Teoscar, double-digit barrels, 45% hard hits, 14 home runs. Maybe we're off the mark a little bit from last year's pace, 33 last year and 652 plate appearances, but we're not that far off. 331, essentially half the plate appearances, slightly lower than half the home runs. Still a great bat in Fenway Park, too. Andy Paez at 4,031, 19 homers for him, a great slash line of 126 WRC+. Conforto, I've talked about all year, and he's kind of just not actually delivered much, but I'll continue to do it. 8.9% barrel, 41.6% hard hit. These are not bad numbers. They're down somewhat for him from last year. They're up from 2 years ago, and he's a player that we've seen deliver in this kind of territory consistently in the past. 8 home runs, a sub Mendoza, a sub 300, and a 320 slug. There's nothing special about the 320 plate appearances that have already happened. Fortunately, we're not paying anything for those. We're buying the future plate appearances. So I'm interested in that hitter, especially if nobody else goes there. And then I talked about the bottom 3. Bayo at 78, we're loosely in that mix of usable parts. But I kind of flag that as like 12.5, 25. Guys on FanDuel at 25, guys on DraftKings at 12, 12.5 plus. That's kind of that mid-board plateau for me. So he falls a little short of that, and he's priced more expensively than several of those guys, or most of those guys. On FanDuel, I think it's a no-brainer skip spot at 85. DraftKings, a few shares here and there, at least in that blender of the middle of the board, is fine, but not that appealing. Emmett Sheehan, 23.2% strikeouts, but a 4.41 ERA, a 3.97 xFIP, and some hard hits, some exit velo. Saved him on barrels, but there's a lot of launch there. So if one of these combines with a little bit of that launch, you'll get more barrels, you get more home runs. Pretty lucky to be at 1.45. But the kid is talented. Kid is good at missing bats. So maybe some of that comes through. What I don't think we get, though, is a tremendous depth of start out of Sheehan here. Last time out, just 3 innings, gave up 5 earned runs, struck out 3, walked 1, gave up a home run. That was against the Brewers. Start before that, 4 1/3 of 1-run ball, 2 hits, 3 strikeouts, 3 walks. But again, 4 1/3 while going well. 5 innings of 1-run ball, 5 hits, 4 strikeouts, and a walk against Houston back on the 6th. Maxed out so far in the show at 5 innings. I think that's the limit here. So kind of being protective of the arm. They've had tragedy after tragedy in the Los Angeles rotation over the years. So definitely they're looking to protect him a little here. 64 on DK as a dart around a 5-inning start with a few strikeouts. You basically need him to pitch a clean game there. He's capable of doing so, but I'm leaning away. 79 is a broken price for him on FanDuel. Jarren Duran, apparently a hot commodity on the trade market. 4,200, 3,200 is a fair price for him on both DFS sites. 9 home runs, 16 steals, not having the year that he did last year, but there are still a lot of positive attributes to like when we're just looking into the DFS void. 9.8% barrels, 46.6% hard hits, a 104 WRC plus on the season, reminiscent of what he did last year when he slashed 285, 342, 492, 129 WRC plus, 21 home runs, all the extra base hits in the world. Alex Bregman at just 45-34, very playable. Solid slash, 12 home runs on the board, a 241 ISO. Monster bounce back year from Bregman in Red Sox colors. Lost his big-time star caliber running mate in Rafi Devers in that trade, but there's a lot of talent around him still in this lineup with some of these young pieces, with Trevor Story being capable of delivering, especially for DFS scoring. So there's a lot to like about Red Sox against this young pitcher in their home park when they're drawing a 4.70 total. Roman Anthony at 4,000, 2,700. Just 2 home runs is maybe a little bit light over 149 plate appearances, but look at the barrels and the hard hits, guys. They're coming. Those home runs are coming. This kid is too good not to hit them. He's very cheap on FanDuel. He's affordable on DraftKings. Getting on base at a 369 clip. Creating runs 17% better than average. The 355 xWOBA tells the story. That is a piece that you want if you go Red Sox. Trevor Story, 37-31, 15 homers, 17 steals. It's a good season out of Story if you're looking at the counting stats. Every one of those 4 categories, and those are the 4 categories that score us DFS points, pretty solid. He's hitting the ball very hard. 10.3% barrels, 47.8% hard hits. Can absolutely quibble with some of the consistency, the strikeouts, the lack of walks, but there's plenty there for DFS scoring. Masataka Yoshida doesn't really strike out, has yet to walk in his 31 plate appearances. It's been a minute since we've seen quality from him. Going back to last year, though, 280, 349, 415, 10 home runs in 421 plate appearances. Good table setter, very, very solid hit tool. Drives the ball. He's one of the line drive type hitters. We talked about somebody at Solano along those lines yesterday. He's that kind of a guy. Not a major home run bat, capable of getting it out of the yard, but you're looking more for doubles. Keep the sequencing going. He's very, very affordable from the left side against a young righty here. Ceddanne Rafael has had a good year, 14 homers, 14 steals out of him. Tons of hard hits and barrels from him as well. Willie Abreu, I'll take in any situation. He's one of their best bats. 20 home runs in just 319 plate appearances. Getting a few more opportunities against lefties, but mostly still a platoon player. Love him against any righty. Monster power upside, 118 WRC plus on the board. Abraham Toro, Connor Wong, playable parts in their positions down lineup. Toro's had a decent season. 5 home runs, a 101 WRC plus, okay on the slash line. Connor Wong has had a disappointing year, kind of lost his job to Carlos Narvaez. When he gets into the lineup, though, he's the dead mid price now. 2,100 on FanDuel. Let's remember, just last year, this guy slashed 280, 333, 425 with 13 home runs and created runs, 10% better than average by WRC plus at the min price on a team that is very much in play for some of the top spots today. That's really appealing where you need the position. I don't need him that much on FanDuel, but you can note you don't really have a go-to first baseman on the Red Sox. So if you want to use him just in that role, perfectly fine. It's kind of miscast from the bottom. He's not a wraparound guy in terms of getting on base. He's more a, well, that's not really true if you were looking at him as last year's guy. Yeah, fine on either side. He's dirt cheap. Dodgers bats, Red Sox bats, only a slight difference between. Bayo, if you're playing a pitcher from this game, but really only on DK and really limited shares. Pods and the cards. Pavetta's really interesting here. Going up against a super gettable Cardinals lineup. Like the upside, he's pitched to a 27.9% strikeout, 2.81 ERA with a 3.51 xFIP, 11.1% swinging over 20 starts. It's been tremendous. Very, very good strikeout to walk ratio, too. It's given up a little bit of premium contact and power. That's where we get a little concerned. That 2.85% home run rate is a little light for 11.1% barrels, 42.3% hard hits, and 89.4 miles an hour of exit velo. Two of those three categories are above our emergency threshold. That's a lot of exit velocity. So maybe he gets dinged for a home run here or there on the wrong day, but more than capable of breezing through this Cardinals lineup. They are somewhat low strikeout in the average. It's helped by Arenado at 9.6, but we know he's basically dead at the plate these days. Mason Wynn doesn't strike out that much. You'll hope Pozo not striking out very much at all. Either one of those guys is capable enough bat. 25.2% Ks on Wilson Contreras, who's their most threatening overall hitter this year. And then a couple strikeouts down lineup around Jordan Walker, who strikes out way too much and has yet to find quality this season. And then Victor Scott, who strikes out a lot, but also draws some walks, steals some bases. So plenty of clear skies upside for Nick Pivetta. 10-2, 10-3 is very expensive, but I think he's worth it here. 4.14 implied total, maybe a little bit surprising. I would kind of expected that to be in the upper 3s to 4. So they're creeping over, but I mean, that's not, we're quibbling over a tenth of a run. Going the other way, Miles Mikolas at 65-67. It's pretty difficult to see. 5.20 ERA, 4.66 xFIP. Not bad as far as the walk rate, but it doesn't come with any strikeouts to speak of. Pivetta good for depth too, by the way. 6 innings or beyond in 4 of his last 5 starts. Failed to complete the 6th on the 8th of July against Arizona, but came out, went 5 2/3. Struck out 7, walked 3. 2 hits, no runs. So that was a very good start as well. So he's been rolling. That was Pivetta. With Mikolas, no strikeouts here. You're not really even getting tremendous depth out of him this season. That was one thing that in previous seasons you could maybe look at him for, like, all right, this guy's probably going to go 7 today. Even if he only picks up 4 strikeouts, if he doesn't give up runs, we're okay at these cheap prices. Last time out, 4 innings. He went 5 2/3, 6 innings, 4 innings, 5 innings. It's been more limited. And there's just so many runs and so much downside that there's really not that much appeal. Absolute perfect day for Mikolas gets you there at 65. At 67, with the quality start bonus, I won't take him off the board, but I don't really want him. I think that's fair. I think you leave him in your mix as far as building lineups. But you set his exposure cap to a pretty limited number, and you make sure you're not getting overweight to him. Padres bats are good up at the top of the lineup. Tatis at 5,000 at 3,800, a little cheap or very affordable for his talents, let's say. 17 home runs, 22 steals, a 130 WRC+. He's a star. Luis Arias continues to roll out there in the 2 spot every day. I don't get it. 3,800, 3,000, 288, 323, 397. A very solid slash line overall, but diminished for him and takes away a lot of his appeal and a lot of what he's supposed to do for this team, especially when they're going to put him behind their best bat. Stupid. 4,800, 3,600 for Manny, 19 home runs, monster power, very, very good bounce back season for Manny Machado, 13.9% barrels, 51.5% hard hits overall on the year. Love the option, 17.3% strikeouts, perfect bat to roll out against Miles Mikolas. Jackson Merrill is cheap, 43.32, 7 home runs, okay season so far in 297 plate appearances. A lot of missed time, but slashing 262, 324, 408, maybe not meeting expectations for some, but a 361 xWOBA that tells me he's going to get to those expectations if there's enough time. 12.6% barrels kind of works. Love the upside coming off of last year's awesome season. Xander at 4,000, 3,100. You know I'm going to say he's playable. He's getting on at a 342 clip now, creating runs 7% better than average. Very solid xWOBA. 6 home runs is a little light as far as the power output goes. He's a different bat these days, but he's been more than capable in most of his opportunities this year. Jackson Chodio home run. Gavin Sheets, 35-31. Works if you're going to the Padres already. 14 homers on the board this season, a 109 ISO, 9.5% barrels and 49.5% hard hits, more to the point. Really appealing there. Jake Cronenworth is apparently on the trade market, mix and match quality player. Jose Iglesias and Elias Diaz don't give you much outside of just positional filler for cheap price. On the cards, Brendan Donovan having the season of his life at 296, 364, 433, 125 WRC plus. He's got 9 home runs. The premium contact has cooled a little bit. That's still an okay barrel rate for Brendan Donovan, several points above his career average, but hard hits are coming down a little bit. He's low strikeout, fairly high walk, good table setter up top who's capable of hitting a couple doubles, driving in some runs as well. So not just a table setter. Very, very playable if you're going to Cardinals. Ivan Herrera at 45, 3,000. Solid season, 315, 391, 508, creating runs 54% better than average. Arguably their best bat this year. Alec Burleson at 38, 29, very playable. A dozen home runs, just a 171 ISO, 124 WRC plus, but a nice looking 357 xWOBA on some very good contact. Doesn't strike out, draws a fair amount of walks. It's an interesting player. Top 4 for the Cards is decent to good. It just kind of falls off pretty quickly. There's talent down here. I like Jordan Walker, as we've talked about a lot, but limited option, mid-board average type shortstop. Arenado's broken, 36-28. He's got 10 home runs, doesn't strike out, doesn't really draw that many walks. It's just kind of there collecting a paycheck right now. Wynn, again, is just a league average type shortstop. There's nothing special about anything that he does at the plate. In fact, he's 1% worse than league average for run creation now. Pozo is a $2,800 catcher. If you're skipping Herrera, it's a mixer at worst. 310, 333, 500. Creating runs 32% better than average. It's just 105 plate appearance sample. He's been very low strikeout, low walks, so some bat on ball. It's just not exactly high quality bat on ball, but he's made it work so far, and you're not paying anything for what he's already done. Walker, monster barrels, a lot of hard hits in his 220 chances, and has seen nothing for it. I'll show it one more time. His rookie season 2 years ago, he does not get enough credit for having this season. They've been moving him up and down, and he has not delivered again at the major league level since. But I think moving him up and down to AAA year after year has not helped his development trajectory. And then Victor Scott maybe gets on base, maybe steals you a bag. Interesting enough as a wraparound if you're going to this team already, but Victor Scott's not a reason to go to the Cards. Nick Pivetta, Padres bats, Cardinals bats. If you play Michaelis, it's only a dart throw. Love the Cubbies bats here. Come on. Cubs and Mr. Imanaga can land in some lineups tonight, I think. Solid projection for Imanaga going up against one of the worst lineups in baseball without their lone star, who is maybe not a star. Lubob out of the lineup today. Colson Montgomery, by the way, has had a solid little stretch post All-Star. Maybe he's their best player now. He's hitting 9th today. Lefty pitcher maybe puts him in check a little bit. Maybe checks down Andrew Benintendi and his mediocrity, and Mike Tauchman slightly. Tauchman moving down the lineup makes him a little less appealing. It's really not a good White Sox team. 3.52 implied total, one of the lowest on the board. Imanaga comes in with just an 18.2% strikeout, but a 5.8% walk. Those go together pretty well. 2.40 ERA, but concerningly, a 4.82 xFIP. Is not flawless this season by any stretch. 11.9% swinging strike rate, but just 25.2% CSW. A .92 whip doesn't jive with most of that. It's kind of a weird combination of numbers here. Even this, 9.5% barrels on 22.6 degree average launch, but just 36.8% hard hits. Sub 90 mile an hour exit velo. That's maybe a little bit high on the home run mark. Been a weird year. Last season in 173 and a third. Pitched to a 2.91 ERA, but a 3.62 xFIP. 25.1% strikeouts against 4% walks is very appealing there. 14.4% swinging strikes. Did give up similar kind of contact, similar kind of home runs. This might just be who this guy is. Might just be able to outperform xFIP consistently. We don't know that for sure, but he's got a good opportunity to do it again today. 99-97 really, really works against this team. Hauser at 85-88. 17.7% strikeouts, 7.7% walks, somehow pitched to a 1.89 ERA, but a 3.91 xFIP. Obviously, for him, I kind of lean toward that being the more correct number. Hasn't given up many barrels, but a lot of hard hits, a lot of exit velo, not that many home runs because he's kept the ball down somewhat effectively. Maybe he keeps the Cubs' power in check. We'll see. Last time out, just 4 1/3, 3 earned runs, 5 strikeouts against the Pirates. Mentioned that one at the beginning of the show. That was coming off of 7 innings of 1-run ball against the Blue Jays, 7 hits, but only 2 strikeouts, 2 walks. 8 innings against Colorado at Coors Field. He was tremendous. 2 unearned runs on 4 hits, struck out 6 and walked 2. That's a good start. 7 innings of 4-hit ball, no runs, 5 strikeouts against the Giants. Good start. 6 1/3 of 2-run ball, but 7 hits against the Blue Jays. There's some good, there's some bad in there. If we're going to come through overall around those numbers, probably creeping back up toward that, I'm a lot less interested against one of the best offenses in the game. Last year in 69 1/3, he was nowhere near as good as he's been this year. Year before, if you want a tie break, not nearly as good. So I think I lean Cubs bats fairly heavily here. Where's launch angles those years? Yeah, the 9-degree average launch is reasonably realistic. That's his one big positive attribute. But that's playing right through here. Still plenty of sequencing available, plenty of run creation available from these Cubs. Michael Busch off the top at 5,600. The Cubbies are way up there too. Holy hell. 5,480 top 5 pricing. Yowza. That's impossible. You got Kyle Tucker at 6,338. Tuck's got 18 home runs, 23 steals, a 145 WRC plus. Michael Busch holding down a tremendous slash line, getting on at a 371 clip. He's carrying a 256 ISO on major premium contact. Just look at all these barrels for the Cubs. Look at all this hard hit for the Cubs. All these walks that a lot of these guys draw. This is just a good team. Seiya Suzuki at 51-37, 26 home runs out of him, a 276 ISO, 132 WRC plus. Absolute destroyer of baseballs. Pete Crow Armstrong, 14.6% barrels this year. He's got 27 homers to lead this team. 28 stolen bases. Ridiculous talent. Ian Happ at 46-31. The DraftKings price kind of holding firm. FanDuel has come down a little bit. Happ has 13 homers, 322 on base, a 100 WRC plus. He's quite a bit better than that and has been over time. He's lost a little bit of barrel, a little bit of hard hit year over year. I think he's just going through it this season. You see this from time to time. Any given slate, monster upside. That said, a little more difficult to reach maybe on the DK slate. Love Dansby for 41-29. He's got 16 home runs, 103 WRC plus, 350 xWOBA under the covers, and a monster barrel and hard hit combo for him as well. Looks a lot like the Dansby Swanson that we know and love. Absolutely excited to get there at 2,900 on FanDuel. 41 works on DraftKings. Then you get to Nico, Reese, and Vidal down the bottom of the lineup. Between those three, you absolutely want Nico Horner. 286, 333, 374. Steals bases when he gets on. 19 on the season. 101 WRC plus. The other two are just mixers. Reese is a very cheap catcher. As long as he's not in the parking lot, you're probably okay. 5 home runs on the board and 86 WRC plus. And then Brujan's never done anything. He's just a spot filler. Chase Meadroth at the top of the White Sox, down to 253, 3309. Does have a very good hit tool. Is low strikeout, high walk. But the book adjusted it. He needs to adjust back now. 84 WRC plus. Mixer at best. Austin Slater for 31-24. No, thank you. 4 home runs. Mediocre. He does have a 360 xWOB under the covers. Very solid premium contact numbers. You got to give him that much at the very least, but not a good player. 101 WRC plus. Edgar Quero, cheap if you need a catcher. For a guy with a 48.1% hard hit rate, just 17.4% strikeouts and 9.8% walks as a rookie over 224 plate appearances, he's at least interesting, but I don't love throwing him into Imanaga. I don't love the idea of just going to the White Sox for a one-off. So, kind of falls around the edges. Benintendi's not as good a hitter as he looks like with those 11 home runs, the 189 ISO. Everything is already plummeting. Miguel Vargas is a mixer, 12 home runs. He's a little better than Benintendi. Lenyn Sosa is probably better than both of those guys. 264, 289, 407. That's it's the White Sox. This is as good as we get. 9 home runs and 319 chances for him. Similar barrels and hard hit rates for all 3 of those guys. Sosa for cheaper pricing, multi-position on FanDuel, second base on DraftKings. I'll take him over those 2 guys. Mike Tauchman, again, just kind of falls by the wayside being down this part of the lineup. His 372 on base is kind of wasted down here. He's a leadoff man. You can get him. You can put him together with Michael A. and Colson Montgomery if you want a weird White Sox stack that's not going to work out. 132 WRC plus out of Tauchman. He's just good. 129 WRC plus out of Colson with 2 home runs, 275, 351, 471 over 58 plate appearances. A lot of prospect pedigree there. Kid's looking pretty good. And then Michael A., one of our favorites. 5 home runs, 7 steals, a pretty weak season from Michael A. this year, even in the sense of a down lineup, nobody goes to type of a sneaky play. But that underperformance does come with 13.7% barrels and 48.7% hard hits across his batted ball events. We want this version of Michael A. back. He was terrible as far as that slash line goes, but he hit 21 home runs and stole 13 bags and had a 223 ISO that year. That is a high-quality DFS option when nobody else goes to him. Cubs bats, Imanaga, right next to each other. Hauser, but really not at those prices. I really don't want much to do with Adrian Hauser today, but he would rank 3rd ahead of the White Sox bats. Yeah, there's Gunn. What's up, buddy? Yeah, 1K. We finally got there. Got it over the line last night. Let's tell the gang. We also cracked 500 shows. Feels like an anniversary. This is show 502, technically. Noticed it too late to really celebrate it. Maybe I'll throw a little something together next week or something. Gunn, did you run into that same issue that we did with the fake Johnny Diaz trade? That tripped us up for a minute there. There's a fake Johnny Diaz trade floating around out there. What do you think of, speaking of, what do you think of our Ryan McMahon pickup? I get my thoughts a little earlier in the show. It's probably exactly what you would expect. Braves, just a 3.69 implied total against a spectacular version of Nathan Eovaldi. 1.58 ERA, a 2.73 xFIP for Eovaldi this season. 27% strikeouts against just 4% walks. Missing bats like crazy. Solid CSW. Not giving up premium contact or home runs. All of this is fantastic. 16 starts, 91 innings. Spent a minute on the IL and then is dealing with a side issue. As I mentioned, he scratched over the weekend. Scratched from the start he was supposed to make on Wednesday. They moved him to this one. As long as they're putting him out there, I'm good with the option. 96 is cheaper than a lot of the other upside pitchers on DK. 10-1 right in the mix with everybody on FanDuel. But I think he does need the asterisk today of we might only be looking at 5 innings of Eovaldi here. It's not because of a long layoff or anything, but just given how they pitchers torque their bodies, something doesn't feel right. We could see a short day. Typically does pitch pretty deep into games. 7 2/3 in his most recent start back on the 13th. One earned run on 5 hits, struck out 8 against the Astros. I just wish I knew for sure that I could give you guys 6 innings here, and I don't. So that's where I run into it a little bit. But if you're a little, if you're not, incredibly risk averse, if you're willing to embrace a little chaos, I think it's a good option. And there are Ks in this Braves lineup. 22.6% on the average. Some of their better hitters. Ronnie Acuna even, 27.4. Matty Olson at 23.4. Austin Riley back in the lineup at 27.7. So, some gettable guys there. Let me get the confirmed Braves lineup in. Riley is actually back in the lineup, though. He's been on the IL for a minute. He was technically, they were originally thinking he was going to come back at the beginning of the week, but then they just gave him a few extra healing days. But should be able to hit the ground running with Austin Riley here. I wouldn't call you completely nuts if you went to a few Brave stacks, even with that low total. There's just appeal around the star caliber talents with Olsen, with Acuna, with Riley. Sean Murphy, I would throw into that mix as well. A lot of underwhelming guys in the rest of the lineup. Most of the guys on this team, not named Ronald Acuna, are underperforming at least a little bit, including Matt Olson, including Austin Riley. So I get it. And again, if it's good for Eovaldi, if he's just out there for 6, I don't want the Braves that much. Profar at 34, 3,000. Yeah, I'm with you, Gun. Gun saying exactly what my take. Kind of figured we land on McMahon. I've been saying that for weeks. Would have been nice to get Eugenio, but yeah, it looks like the price tag's way too high. As a dynasty owner on Eugenio, I just hope he doesn't end up back in Seattle like the rumors are saying. We do need some pitching. That was my take. I think McMahon fills that third base hole just fine. Lefty bat, Yankee Stadium, good defensive third baseman, rounds out the lineup nicely. My real concern there, as I was saying earlier in the show with Ryan McMahon, is the nature of how Yankees fans, the idiot Yankees fans, treat 3 true outcomes guys when they don't start hot. He goes out there 0 for 12 with a few key strikeouts in big spots in his first few games, and they're going to be booing him by the end of the weekend. So that could be ugly. That's my major concern there. I agree they definitely need some pitching. I expect they're going to probably be in on a guy like Merrill Kelly, who's apparently on the board from the Diamondbacks, and they were interested. We tend to deal with the Rockies a lot. They don't give us Yankees tax like the rest of the league. Yeah, exactly. That was it was essentially a free Ryan McMahon. I like what the price tag looked like. Yeah, good point. All right, so the Braves bats. I don't think anything of Jurickson Profar on the top spot. He had a nice year last year while he was on steroids and not really doing anything over 93 plate appearances this year. Yeah, he hit 3 home runs, league average WRC plus. He's a mixer. If you're going to Braves, he's fine. He's in the leadoff spot, great for correlated scoring, but I'm not a big believer, and I like that I have a reason for that now. 5,200, 3,600, 18 home runs on the board from Matty Olson. Love the bat, but a challenging spot against Evaldi. Acuna, superstar. You always want Acuna if you're going Braves. He's the one guy who's just been performing like he's supposed to all season long since coming back. 215 tremendous plate appearances. Drake Baldwin's been really interesting all year. 11 home runs, but you have the catcher conflict on DK, so you can only get one of him or Sean Murphy. Murph, for a little bit cheaper, further down the lineup. Better power upside, I think is fair. A little maybe less consistent, but similar. A lot of talent at the catcher spot, full stop for this team. You can't get both of them and Matt Olson in the lineup on FanDuel, so you're compromising somewhere on one of their best bats. It's another reason that the Braves are a little bit difficult in this configuration. Love Riley at 42-31, 14 home runs, a mediocre for him slash line, 112 WRC, or an okay slash line, I guess I should say, for him. Just a 166 ISO this year, and maybe a little off the pace for home runs, but that comes on 15% barrels and 50.6% hard hits. It looks quite a bit like the last few years. So another player, assuming full health going forward, I expect a big final 2 months from. Ozzie Albies, recent signs of life, 9 home runs, 8 stolen bases on this season. Still has a lot of work to do to get it back on track, but at least showing a little something here and there, and he's still cheap at second base, so playable if you're going there. Mikey Harris has not shown us all that much life lately. 7 home runs, 12 steals, a 50 WRC plus overall, and Nick Allen, as always, here for defense. Michael Hellman in the top spot. Don't think we have the Rangers yet. No. Hellman in the top spot, 12 pretty weak plate appearances so far, right at league average via WRC+. Does have an 11.1% barrel in a handful of batted balls, but only 11.1% hard hits. That's a weird little combination. He's a solid mixer if you're looking to attack Joey Wentz, a converted reliever who's coming in probably pitching 4, maybe gets a 5th inning here, and probably not going to be good enough to hold it. 5.71 ERA, 4.91 xFIP, too many walks, too few strikeouts, just not good. 10.1% barrels, 45.7% hard hits. We are over the threshold on all of those marks. Lucky to be there, but it's just not a lot of innings pitched. I'm mostly working in relief, bulk relief type roles. Went 4 in his most recent start. That was against our Yankees. Gave up 2 hits, no runs because it's the Yankees. That's what's going to happen. 2 strikeouts and a walk in that one. Even if you got that today, do you want that for 6,000? Definitely not for 69 on DraftKings. I don't see it. Corey Seager at 5,032 has 15 home runs, a solid slash line, but maybe a little bit down if you're looking at the name on the jersey. But everything about what he's done with the bat over here, everything he's doing right in here is in line with expectations. 10.71 in the home run model. Absolutely want some Corey Seager if I'm going Rangers. Good enough as a one-off, as a star caliber one-off that you're maybe paying a little bit less than you should be for. Marcus Semien is up to 4,100 on DK. He's got 13 homers and 8 steals now. Kind of rounding the corner on pulling the season together a little bit. 424 plate appearances. It's taken him a while, but I didn't know that we were ever going to see him again, and we've seen at least flashes, more flashes from him than from Ozzie on the other side. Adolis Garcia's got 14 homers and 10 stolen bases. He keeps on doing interesting things here and there for DFS. It's just not delivering with the consistency that we saw from his 39 home run season 2 years ago. Not even really dealing with the consistency that we saw last year, but the barrels, the hard hits are still very much there. There's still a ton of talent there if you catch it on the right day. Love the upside against Joey Wentz. Josh Young is cheap for a guy with this kind of contact. 9 home runs, 4 steals, and 306 chances. Pretty underwhelming. A 136 ISO is definitely underwhelming, even on that kind of contact. Last year in 188 chances, he wasn't bad. 2 years ago in 515, he was very, very good. 200 plus ISO. How many home runs was that? 23 home runs. Wyatt Langford's another really good player, having a bumpy year in this lineup. 15 homers and 15 steals is nice. The other counting stats are mediocre. 231, 312, 410 on the slash line. 102 WRC plus. It's one of just 3 players in this lineup above the league average for run creation. John Himes a mixer. Cody Freeman, Ezekiel Duran down lineup, mix and match quality parts, all very, very cheap though. So if you need to average down pricing, which you don't really because everybody up here is also affordable, that's a workable part. 4.40 implied total against this pitcher. If you get to the Rangers, I haven't been popping over to the ownership. Let me look at their ownership real quick. Just given the cheap price tags on some of those bats with talent, they're not popular on FanDuel. And they're not popular on DraftKings. Evaldi's going to be a little bit popular, but probably not as much as he would be in a guaranteed lock of a full start. But yeah, inexpensive Rangers bats against Joey Wentz and the bullpen. That's a little intriguing. I mean, even if you just went with like the obvious, those 5, 41.20 a piece. It's not the cheapest possible combination, but pretty affordable for Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, Adolis Garcia, Josh Young, and Wyatt Langford against this pitcher. That's downright interesting. Six innings of Evaldi, 5 innings of Evaldi. Actually, no, it's 6 innings of Evaldi, Rangers bats, 5 innings of Evaldi. Those are 2 different things. And then Braves bats, no Joey Wentz. I told you the Nationals were showing some power upside, and they are. 9.4% barrels allowed by Zebby so far. 45.3% hard hits. Just 2.88% home runs on his extreme fly ball trajectory. In his cup of coffee last year, he gave up a few too many home runs. It's only 37 2/3 over 9 starts, but 14% barrels allowed, 42.1% hard hit, 90.5 miles an hour, and 6.21% home runs. So you're putting all that together, and that's what's leading us to some of the upside that we can see in the home run model for the Nationals among those top-end lefty bats. I like it. I think I'm going to have some Nationals today. 384 implied total. Feels a little bit low. Zebby's a talented kid, no doubt about it. 29.8% strikeouts, misses bats at a 13.8% swinging strike rate, 30.3% CSW. Those are tremendous numbers, no doubt. 8.7% walks I can argue with. 1.61 whip is definitely way too many opportunities. You can see how Stuff Plus likes him. This is one of the reasons I like him, but still finding his form at this level. This is a good enough national squad, and if people aren't going to be here when I'm seeing the power there, I'm intrigued. And they are not. As mentioned at the top of the show, Mr. James Wood, come on down. You're the home run pick of the day. 17.47 in the home run model, one of the top. I think he was second overall on the board. He's got 24 bombs on the season, 17.8% barrels, 55% hard hits, a 245 ISO, 145 WRC plus. Rangers did come out, my bad. And it's a little different. Hellman moves to the 9. Haggerty up in the top spot. No real difference. The heart of the lineup is exactly the same. That's what we care about. So Haggerty up top instead of Hellman. This is what it is. Good. You seeing any power for the Nationals today? Or is that just me? So Wood is the home run pick of the day. Absolutely crushing baseballs all season long. 145 WRC plus. Put him together with CJ for a fair price on both players, especially FanDuel's got CJ at 33. He's got 13 home runs, 20 stolen bases, a 126 WRC plus, 196 ISO, 341 xWOBA. Very solid premium contact as far as, well, good premium contact. Let's say it that way. But compared to his last season, right in line with expectation. Josh Bell is up to 11% barrels, 45.3% hard hits. He's hit 13 home runs, a 168 ISO, 99 WRC plus. It's only 3,200, 2,800 over here. That's not a bad option. The thing that sucks is that positional conflict among 2 of the 4 hitters that you kind of want from this team. A lot less of a concern on FanDuel. You can get them both. Between the 2, it's tough. I think the discount on Bell, if I had to make the decision on DraftKings, would probably win the day. He's hit the ball a little bit more believably hard this year, even though Nathaniel Lowe has more home runs. Bell's also giving you slightly better in terms of the WRC plus, significantly better xWOBA under the covers, strikes out a lot less, walks a little bit more. So between those two, where you have to decide, I would probably lean Bell if I'm building one national stack. If I'm building two, then I go one and then the other one in the other lineup. Lowe just with that 27.3% strikeout, that's up pretty significantly for him. He's not walking quite as much as he did in years past, but it's the power hitting version of Nathaniel Lowe again, rather than the solid hit tool on base skills. Seems like he can't do both at the same time. But for this spot, for DFS purposes, I'll take the option for the power. Luis Garcia at 37.28, mix and match quality guy, 261, 303, 390. Had a good year last year and is kind of cool over 346 plate appearances this year. More than capable, still giving you good barrels and hard hits. Those are not dissimilar numbers. They're actually up, in fact, year over year. Strikeouts are down a little bit. Walks are slightly up, but just not finding the same regular production that he had been. Brady House, okay, 117 plate appearances, just an 89 WRC plus, but a nice little 336 xWOBA on 43.7% hard hits. 279, 299, 387 isn't blowing anybody's doors off as far as the slash line, but a capable kid. We do have this lineup, I'm just now realizing. Fortunately, everyone I talked about is in the lineup in this exact order. Then we'll get to talk to the Twins on the other side that somebody brought up earlier in the show. Oh, God damn it. Oh, actually, that's not the same order. Garcia moves to from the 5 where he was projected into the 3, and you get Bell and Lowe moved down. Not really a diminishment. That's fine. Moving Garcia into that spot. He's got enough hit tool there and enough capability to hold down the 3 spot, get on base, maybe reset the table for the other 2 after the big James Wood home run. So I actually can work with that. I like that. Probably improves the outlook for Luis Garcia a little bit. I think it moved his projection up somewhat. Lyle Adams and Jacob Young down lineup. You do have a little bit of power showing for Riley Adams, 7.70 in the model. He's got a 10.8% barrel, 47.7% hard hit, 5 home runs, a 168 ISO over 127 chances this year. Just a cheap filler really at the catcher spot, but maybe a little bit of sneaky power upside against all the contact that maybe Zebby's going to allow. That said, Adams is striking out at a 42.5% clip, so you're very, very, very likely to get a 0. Jacob Young, mix and match quality outfielder. All right, Twins bats against Mackenzie Gore. So Gore approaching a 30% strikeout rate on the season on 14% swinging, 27.2% CSW. These guys are pitching very similarly in terms of the numbers. Gore's obviously made more starts and has more of a track record. Last time out, he got absolutely obliterated. 2 1/3 against the Pods, gave up 8 earned runs, struck out 2 home runs allowed, walked 3, and was out after 18 hitters, 2 1/3. Disaster of a start. Start before that, 6 innings, 1 run ball against the Cards, 5 hits, 7 strikeouts. So it works for me. Low strikeout game, the one before that, 5 1/3 against Detroit. Only 2 earned runs on 3 hits, but only 2 strikeouts against 4 walks. Mediocre day over 5 1/3. Decent one against the Padres start before that. A bad one before that one against the Dodgers. And then prior to that Dodgers start had been mostly tremendous all season. So maybe tired a little bit, maybe hit a little bit of a wall there in late June into July, where he's giving up a few more runs. He's striking out a fewer guys, but that's baked into these prices. That's why he's 87. That's why he's 94. 94 is a little bit, that's fine, especially where everybody else at the top end is priced. Against a Twins team that has plenty of strikeout available, 21.4 on the average, but you got 30% down there from Wallner, 25.7 on Bader, upper 20s over here. Even some of their best bats do strike out. Could be a decent, sneaky kind of a day for Mackenzie Gore. But that 476 implied total for the Twins is intriguing, especially when they're as cheap as they are. Even with Buxton's 6,000 in there, if we top 5 it, that's a $4,100 average. That's way cheaper than some of the other upside teams with similar implied totals. Buxton is an absolute superstar. It's been a, knock on wood, relatively healthy season. 23 home runs, 17 steals, a 284 ISO. Creator runs 52% better than average. Jeffers, a decent catcher bat with a solid hard hit rate. 7 home runs in 311 chances, just a 147 ISO, a little off the pace, but a 348 xWOBA, a 112 WRC plus. Very, very solid hitter. Doesn't strike out that much for a catcher, walks quite a bit. Willie Castro having a good year, 10 home runs on the board, a 118 WRC plus, but I like Willie when he's hitting 7, 8, somewhere in that territory, and people aren't going to him as much. His price has also come up somewhat, but a good mixture across positions. Carlos Correa, I'm interested in 46.7% hard hits, solid but not spectacular slash line, still 1 point below average via WRC plus, but he's going to get there. 18.8% barrel, 18.8% K, 7.2% walk rate. Very solid option for a very cheap price. 34.25 across sites is not really giving Carlos Correa the respect that he deserves. A lot of barrels and hard hits out of Royce Lewis. Not really that much to show for it. 8 points below average for run creation, but 147 ISO, but a 356 XWO because of all that premium contact, because of the 13.4% strikeout and 8.7% walk. Dude is a lot better than he's been playing. He's very cheap. Harrison Bader's a mixer in the outfield. He's got 12 home runs and 9 steals. It's been a nice season for him. I don't really want to pay anything for what he's already done, but good news, you're not. 3,300, 2,600. Perfectly reasonable, right around where I would expect him to be priced, even if he wasn't having a good year. Ty France, mix and match quality guy. Matt Wallner, all the thunder in the world in that bat. 11 home runs, 13.4% barrels on 48% and 48% hard hits. 244 ISO. That said, 207, 306, 451 slash line. Wildly inconsistent. 30+% strikeouts, 11.3% walks. 3 true outcomes guy who doesn't get on base quite enough. Brooks Lee, mix and match quality guy. 8 home runs, not all that great. I will give it to the Twins and say Twins bats, Nationals bats. Well, no, the right way to do it is probably Twins bats, Mackenzie Gore, Nationals bats, but I am interested in the Nationals. Just me. Maybe if it's me on an island, let me have the Nationals. In fact, don't use them. James Wood, home run pick of the day. Let's see if Gunn responded. Don't know if he's gone. Michael Knack saying Gore's arm is tired. Correa, Lewis, Bader, Mini. I like that. It's a good little combo. I could take or leave Harrison Bader, but he's perfectly fine in there, and he's not at all expensive. And yeah, I can buy into the idea that Gore is maybe tiring a little bit. Threw a lot of innings early in the season. Monty Santerre, do you ever double down in home run pick of the day? Attempted to ride Westberg again. He had some great at-bats, balance looking. So the way I do that, Monty, if you're on the site, if you check out the home run picks column, I do a pick from every team. And then my home run pick of the day from whatever team he's from is always not the guy who was the team-based pick. I think, like, for example, from the Nats, James Wood is the home run pick of the day, the main guy. And then the Nationals pick in the column is, I believe I used Riley Adams with that interesting little 7.70 just because it stuck out as a unowned guy. And if you're not familiar, those are picks that I make that I try and use to, maybe direct toward interesting individuals like a Riley Adams, who nobody's going to be using down lineup there. It's not necessarily always just this guy is the highest percentage probability of hitting a home run today. Mostly for the reason that I don't want to just pick Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Joanny Suarez every single day from those teams, right? So I move them around, but I'm always giving you a quality option. I'm not going to give you like Jacob Young. All right, let's move on from this one. So, I forget how I said it. It's a 4-coin. Well, can we use Zebby? On DraftKings, you could use Zebby. I would consider him more of a dart, though. Limit your exposure. On FanDuel, I probably don't get there just because I don't really see the 6 innings in the cards. The price is fine and the strikeout upside is tremendous. But this Nationals team outside of James Wood, their biggest bat, and maybe some down lineup mixers, not that heavy strikeout. So probably goes Twins bats, Gore, Nationals bats, like I had it. But I'm a little bit more interested in the Nationals than maybe the average person. Jesus Christ, we got 4 games to go, and it is almost 6 o'clock. All right, we can do this. Guardians, Royals. Both these lineups are in. Gavin Williams is interesting. Michael Wacha is playable. Gav's going to just basically, it's the same thing as always with the Royals. They're a mid-board kind of a team with arguably some guys underperforming their talents on the season. some of whom have started to come around a little bit. Sal's been mashing over the last month and a half. But they're just low strikeout. 18.4% strikeout rate average for this entire confirmed lineup. Only 2 guys in the 20s, and all of their best bats are in the teens. So it's a very challenging spot for a pitcher like Gav to find his quality. 3.54 ERA, but a 4.27 xFIP. Walking 13% is also problematic. Not that these Royals are particularly great at drawing walks, but they're low strikeout, and there's enough walk there that could come back and bite him. 1-2 walks, even if he doesn't hit the typical walk rate that he does, put one guy on via the free pass and then have these hit tools come through, and you could have some sequencing against. 23.7% strikeouts on 12.3% swinging. This is a good pitcher who is formerly a top end prospect, and another guy who's, he's rounding into form, and he's had a few very strong starts this year. He's also had a few bumps in the road, but there's enough talent there that it's believable. Last time out, 7 innings, 11 strikeouts against the Athletics. I believe that's a career high strikeout number. 1 earned run on 4 hits. It's got maybe not that kind of strikeout upside, but certainly upside for 7 pretty good innings. Waka on the other side, pitching to an 18-1 on the strikeouts, 3.62 ERA, a 4.44 xFIP. Just mostly a capable veteran pitcher who's going to go out there and give you 6 innings of quality, 5, maybe. But I like him for 6 here, 77 on both sites. He's very playable. He's right in that 25, 12.5 range. So mixer on either site. You do have the upside into a quality start there. There are a few strikeouts available for him here. Not that he's really a big-time strikeout pitcher. It's a less daunting Guardians lineup overall this season. So I do think Waka's in play on both sides. Prefer him on DraftKings, though, where the quality start is irrelevant. Or less relevant. Stephen Kwan, 3,000, not going to get traded out of Cleveland, apparently. 8 home runs, 11 steals, solid 287, 352, 410. He's a very, very good table setter. Hitting ahead of Anel Ramirez in the 2 spot. I don't really love that option. 271 xWOBA, 91 WRC plus over 317 chances. Terrible as far as the premium contact numbers go. There's really not a lot to like there, especially in the 2 spot. I just moved Kyle Manzardo into that spot. Jose Ramirez is a superstar. Monster season out of him, 297, 372, 530, 21 homers, 31 steals, a 145 WRC plus. You just play Jose Ramirez in any form. In stacks, yes. As a one-off, yes, absolutely. Against any pitcher, absolutely. Manzardo at 34-28 has 16 home runs, a solid 226 ISO, very good contact numbers. He's a young kid finding his way in the show. 8.10 to match Jose Ramirez in the home run model would absolutely be in my Guardian stack if I build one. Carlos Santana at 31-29, mediocre year out of him, or a bad year out of him, I should say. 11 home runs, a 91 WRC plus. I think we're kind of at the end of the line in a nice career from Santana. Gabriel Arias hits the ball very hard, but doesn't see very many positive results for it. 86 WRC plus out of him, just a 137 ISO, only 6 home runs in 281 chances, despite the 10.6% barrel. Schneemann also capable of barreling a ball for you. Very, very cheap at multiple positions, including second base. 9 homers, 7 steals. He's just mediocre. Brian Roccio's here for defense. Bo Naylor is an on-off type catcher as far as a little bit of power available, but a lot of strikeout, a lot of bad performances. If you're going to Royals bats, 4.08 implied total. Both these teams just, right around 4 implied runs in a dead even kind of a game in Vegas. 32-27 is reasonable for the old version of Jonathan India. Right now, for a guy who's only a table setter, it's only okay. You're just looking at him as a bolt-on part here, but consistently in that leadoff role like he's supposed to be. At some point, I still think that a couple home runs and a couple steals at least should come through. It's odd that he's not stolen a single base all season, especially on a team that runs a little bit. Bobby Witt has 27 stolen bases if you're looking for that. 14 home runs to go with it. 201 ISO, 122 WRC plus. He's a superstar. Vinny Pasquantino for only 39, a little bit cheap, 3,200 on FanDuel. He's hit 17 home runs in 428 plate appearances. He's crushing baseballs like he normally does. 16.8% strikeouts is very, very good on its own. It's up a little bit for him year over year. That's a product of probably hitting for a little bit more power. You can see 19 homers in 554 last year. I like this version of Vinny. I'm a buyer. Michael Garcia at 3,000 has been in a extended slump over the last month or so. 291, 345, 440 with still a 116 WRC plus, a fantastic 343 xWOBA. Tremendous player. Big believer in the talent. Very low strikeout, medium walk. I like him a lot for the pricing, and the pricing come down slightly. Sal Perez is on a tear. 18 home runs, a 211 ISO overall for Sal, 105 WRC plus. Was always mashing. the barrels and the hard hits were there all along. And it was just, I was saying, it was only a matter of time. And now he's hit a little bit of a stretch for power output. So love the option with Sal, and the price hasn't really bounced back. 4,032 works for me. Jack Caglianone's cheap at 28.26 for his skill set. 5 home runs and 160 plate appearances at least. Everything else so far has sucked in the show, but a lot of premium contact available from a kid who is, star trajectory, I think, is fair as far as what his, prospect ranking, his minor league pedigree and everything looks like. Adam Frazier's a mixer. John Rave, Kyle Isbell, always down lineup options for this team. Everybody substandard WRC plus numbers. Everything in this game is a tie. It's impossible to rank this. Royals bats slightly ahead of the opposing pitcher, Gavin Williams. He's slightly ahead of Guardians bats, which are slightly ahead of Michael Wacha. 4 corners game, but everything's kind of meh. Michael Nack saying Twins mini with a Yankee stack. That'll work. That will work, my friend. Jeffrey Springs, not all that interesting on the mound. Seems like a target for some Astros bats here with their 4.56 implied total. He's given up a fair number of home runs, pitching to a 4.18 ERA, and even worse xFIP than that. Doesn't really strike anybody out. Walks too many. Ryan Gusto on the other side, maybe more interesting. 4.46 ERA and a 4.34 xFIP are not all that appealing, but a 10.7% swinging strike rate, 22.8% strikeout, 22.8% strikeout rate on the season. Giving up a lot of premium contact, though. That really concerns me going into some of these A's bats. We've got both of these, too. Ooh, that's interesting. Our guy that we uncovered yesterday, Carlos Cortez, leading off today. That makes him more interesting. He's still the dead man on DraftKings and on FanDuel. Looks like he went 1 for 4 with a run and an RBI yesterday. Solid minor league numbers. That's an interesting second base option on DK for the minimum price, hitting ahead of Kurtz, Rooker, Langoliers, and Soderstrom. That helps you bring those guys down for the full 5-man off the top. You're at 3,880, 3,900 apiece to throw those power bats at Ryan Gusto. Oh, boy, do I hope they're low owned. That is an interesting spot. It's better on DraftKings because he's got that second base eligibility. They're not popular, guys. Everybody on this team's in the single digits. 4.04 implied total, not exactly blowing the doors off the slate, but I will take my shot. And it's coming through a little bit in the model, at least on Rooker, Kurtz, Langoliers, Soderstrom somewhat. 9.5% barrels allowed, 44.8% hard hits, 90.6 miles an hour of exit velo. A little lucky to be at 3.26% home runs when it comes on an 18-degree average launch. A's could be a little sneaky here. Kurtz, 49.39, kind of works. Most expensive bat on this team on both sites now. He's got 19 home runs, a 335 ISO. Kid is an absolute masher, destroyer of worlds at the plate. Brent Rooker, love the bat. 14.7% barrels this season, 21 home runs, a spectacular year and major improvements. We've talked about plenty this year. Shea Langoliers has also dramatically improved his strikeout rate. 27, 29 plus the last 2 seasons down to sub 20%. Maintaining barrels, 10.3, 43.9% hard hits. The barrels are down slightly. Home run output at 14 over 296 plate appearances. Can't really argue with it. 212 ISO. Soderstrom at 41.29. Kid's had a good year. 18 home runs. It's been slower with the home run output, but he's maintaining quality across the board. A 354 xWOB under the covers. Jacob Wilson sliding down lineup, sliding in the batting average column as well a little bit as we've looked at. Does have 10 home runs though to go with the premium hit tool, and the hit tool is very real. He also doesn't strike out, doesn't really walk. A lot of well-struck balls in, a lot of balls in play, a lot of opportunity for 4 hit days. Lawrence Butler also down lineup here. Love the upside for him. 9% barrels, 43% hard hits, 14 homers, 17 steals. Weak slash line and just a 100 WRC plus. That's coming off a 130 over 451 chances with a better slash line last year. But the counting stats are intact. The contact is intact. That's all we really care about. Gio's not a bat. Max Schumann is a mix and match quality guy. Astros lineup is also in. They're facing Springs here, so I wouldn't really consider too much Springs. Again, with those mediocre numbers. Cam Smith off the top gets on at a 331 clip. Interesting enough player, 106 WRC plus, only 7 home runs, medium quality contact, 28% strikeouts, but not really a threatening pitcher on the mound. You get a righty bat in this lineup's loaded with righties to throw at Jeffrey Springs here. It's a lot of quality showing for the Astros today. Jose Altuve in the second spot, 4,600, 3,100, still very fairly priced for a completely return to form Jose Altuve over the last several months. 281, 342, 465 now. Not only has it become a good Jose Altuve season, it's just a good season from anybody. He's just looking fine now. Victor Caratini has been great since he joined this lineup. Full-time 10 home runs on the board, a 111 WRC plus. Solid bat against a lefty. Christian Walker's been the soft spot in the lineup. 13 home runs, a bad slash line, 89 WRC plus. Jainer underperforming his talent big time this year, but the power, the premium contact is a little bit intact. That's also true of Christian Walker as far as the premium contact goes. The power output's been a little light for Walker with only 13 homers, a 147 ISO. Diaz has 13 homers, but the slash line, this kid is I was expecting him to hit 280, 300 this year with like a 330 on base. Very disappointed in the output, but I would go right back to him next year. I think it's just a blip of a bad year, and there's quality from time to time, and he's very cheap for his talents. Cooper Hummel, Mauricio Dubon, Chas McCormick, and Zach Short, mixers all. Between the 4 guys, depending on what position you're looking at, Dubon as a mixer through the infield is fine. He's having an okay season, but a 97 WRC plus, a 280 xWOBA. Chas McCormick, once upon a time, was one of our favorite sneaky guys in the Michael A. Taylor kind of a sense. Once upon a time, that was called the Chas McCormick guy. But he's been a little bit light lately. He got popular when he got good, and then it's been kind of broken. 71 pretty bad plate appearances so far this year. He's in the lineup for 2,300. We're talking about going back in time to 2023. This is when he got popular. This is when we liked him as a sneakier option who hit the ball hard and came away with those occasional home runs. 22 homers and 19 steals in his best year, got popular and then fell apart over 267 last year and has not put it back together. Zach Short is not very appealing as a bat at the bottom of the lineup. Astros bats, A's bats. That's closer than those Vegas totals would suggest. And then if you're using a pitcher here, it's probably Ryan Gusto on DraftKings, but you're really walking a minefield there if you go to that. 76 on FanDuel, I'm not really interested. I do think there's a lane through which Gusto has a decent day here, but I'm seeing it more the other side. I'm seeing more on the A's. 2 to go. 609. Oy. Brian Wu is a tremendous pitcher. I'm going to skip over reading you guys his numbers here. That's what costs us so much time on these shows. You can see them. He's tremendous. Pitches very deep into games. Love him as an option against a high strikeout Angels team. Could easily win the day as a pitcher. 10-5, 10-4, and entirely worth it. Also looks a lot like Walton Goggins when he's wearing his sunglasses. Very funny picture going around. On the Angels side, Jose Soriano, 72-83, 20% strikeouts, a 3.83 ERA, a 3.53 xFIP. 11.1% walks is really his problem. He's good at missing bats with the 11.4% swinging. He's excellent at keeping the ball down and limiting home runs. Negative 3.7 degree average launch. If he can manage the walks and push the strikeouts just a little bit, and he's got that talent, this would be a much better pitcher. But to throw him into these free swinging Mariners, I don't hate the option. I think that works. 22.1% strikeouts. You just got to fade the home run power. Cal, even against his negative 3.7, Cal's still showing a 17.01 because he's just undeniable. But everybody else checked down a little bit, at least for power. So I think Soriano at worst in play at 72 on DraftKings, 83 on FanDuel. Given his average depth of start is pretty good. I don't mind that option. I think he's playable and probably a little sneaky. 7 innings last time out, 5 strikeouts, 2-run ball against the Phillies at Philadelphia. It's at worst similar kind of a team. So I like the upside for both pitchers. That said, would take shots on bats, at least with the Mariners. JP Crawford off the top, Julio Rodriguez, Cal, obviously very appealing. Crawford a 376 on base, 124 WRC plus, tremendous table setter, very fairly priced at short. Julio, 15 homers, 20 steals. I'm telling you, this is going to rock it up in the last 2 months of the season, and it's going to be like, what bad season by the end. Excellent player. EMAC gave me a stat about him yesterday that I was going to cite, but is escaping me, and there's no time for it. Cal is Cal. You just take him. You can use him as an expensive catcher one-off if you want. You can use him in any form. If you go to the Mariners, you absolutely want him. 44-33 for Randy Arozarena, who's hit 19 homers, stolen 16 bags, gets on at a great clip. Excellent run creator who hits the ball very hard. Probably a little bit inexpensive for his talents. Jorge Polanco at 34-28. Solid mixer bat. 16 home runs, a 124 WRC plus. The talent, the output comes and goes, but always in play at second base. Luke Raley, 3,000, 2,700, can hit the ball very hard as well. A lot of barrels out of him over the last couple of seasons. Fair amount of home runs. Also some stolen base talent. 108 WRC plus. He's just been missing for most of the season. He was hurt for a long stretch. Dominic Canzone having a good year. 17.6% barrels and 48.2% hard hits. Who expected that? 6 home runs in 115 plate appearances, a 227 ISO, 144 WRC plus, 300, 335, 27. Kid's just maybe actually kind of good. Very cheap at 33.26. Ben Williamson, Cole Young, not so much. 77 and 91 WRC plus. At best, they're mixers. On the Angels side, Zach Neto, I don't believe hit a home run for us yesterday as the home run pick of the day, but I like him coming right back today. If you're choosing to roster Angels against Brian Wu, which I am not, I think you go to some Zach Neto. I think you absolutely go to Mike Trout and then probably pick one of Taylor Ward, Joe Adell, and put them together with some cheap stuff from the bottom of the lineup. But it's not a great day to be rostering Angels against Wu. It just doesn't work that way. He does allow a little bit of barrel. I'll give them that. That's where some of the power that you're seeing comes from. The 8.57, the 10.84, the 9.17, and the 9.56 going down the lineup. But those are also just, power bats. Those guys are going to be around those numbers against a lot of pitchers. You get a lot of home runs through the middle here. That's the reason you would consider Angels, but it looks like a downside day for them. If you're going there, Neto's a priority, Trout's a priority. Shiny was a good table setter, 366 on base. You can absolutely use him for a fair price on both sides, but he's underwhelming by comparison to a lot of first basemen on a gigantic slate. Taylor Ward is better than just another outfielder when it comes to power, probably worse than just another outfielder in a lot of other aspects of the game. Joe Adell, very good season, 21 home runs, 238 ISO, 114 WRC plus. Moncada's interesting. He got super popular when they were popular the other day. 14% barrels, over 149 plate appearances, got 8 homers, a 248 ISO. You get a lot of power from this team. I don't want to keep beating that drum, but that's the talking point with them. Ohapi, solid barrels and hard hits out of him. He's only 33. Priority if you go to the Angels on DraftKings, honestly. A lot less so on FanDuel, but absolutely want him if I'm using this team on DK. As a one-off at that price, you're just taking shots against an excellent pitcher. But given this, I think you could do that as just a cheap, very unpopular one-off. I just kind of would rather have him hitting up there if I was going to do that. Chris Taylor has been largely dead for the better part of 2 years, and Luis Rengifo had a good year last year and a bad year this year, and you don't really want him that much. Brian Wu with a bullet. I'm going to give it to Jose Soriano in the 2 spot. Mariners bats in the 3, and then very light on Angels. Neither of these lineups is in at the end of the night. 10-15 game, offset time-wise by a little bit. That other one was a 9:38 start. Good options on the mound. I'd be a little bit more reluctant, I think, to roster Clay Holmes here. For one, the Giants are just a decent squad. He does get a bump from the ballpark. It's just a 4.0 implied total against. He's good at limiting launch angle, pretty good at keeping the ball in the yard. He's got good stuff. I believe in the pitcher. I'm just a little concerned about some of the bleeding around the edges over the last few starts. Giving up a few more runs. Has found fewer strikeouts along the way. Coming out of starts a little bit earlier than he was. So I don't love it, but 75-81, I think a lot of those concerns are kind of taken care of. So I think he's very playable, but probably less appealing from like the middle of the board. Very much a part of that 25 plus, 12.5 plus club, though. You can absolutely use him. The guy on the other side, spectacular. One of the top options on the day, 131 2/3. If nothing else, Logan Webb gives you an excellent chance at like a 7-inning start, and that helps take care of a lot of problems along the way if you give up a couple runs, a few hits. 3.08 ERA, a 2.69 xFIP is sparkling under the covers, 25.8% strikeouts against 5.4% walks, just 6.2 degree average launch, sub 2% home runs because he's good at keeping the ball down, keeping it in the yard. Just one of the best pitchers, full stop. 9,300 on DK works for me. 10-2 on FanDuel, willing to pay it. That said, difficult matchup against these very, very good Mets. 3.56 implied total, though. Vegas is on the website. I'm also on the website. You do get decent projections up top. Wouldn't surprise me if I come away with a few Mets, at least in the lineup builds, and then we'll see how they sort out of things. But those are undeniable guys up at the top of the lineup. Brandon Nimmo, Frankie Lindor, Juan Soto, Pete Alonso. Lindor finally got a hit the other day. He had been on a 0 for like 24 stretch. 51-34. The prices come down somewhat, and I'm a buyer at those prices when I go to the Mets. Today's just not a day to go to the Mets. 19 homers, 16 steals, a 111 WRC plus out of him. 19 homers for Brandon Nimmo from the top spot. Totally underrated player. 330 on base, good table setter, good power. Sub 20% strikeouts, having a good season. Soto is Soto. Pete Alonso's Pete Alonso. Let's not waste too much time on them. You want them. Right? They're very, very good. Jeff McNeil at 35-28 has 9 home runs. He's converted himself, as I've talked about a few times, into this guy who hits for weird situational power, has a 200 plus ISO over nearly 250 plate appearances, despite just 5.9% barrels and 30.9% hard hits. It's weird. Weird. This has been going on since August of last year. Mark Vientos still hits the ball really hard. He's 2,800, 2,600 across sites. 276 pretty bad plate appearances from him. 80 WRC plus, a concerning 292 xWOBA. But everything we saw last year tells us this kid can hit for power for real, and he's very cheap tonight. But not a good pitcher to roster for power hitters. Not a good pitcher to target home runs against. Even Pete Alonso and Juan Soto are at half the magic number against Logan Webb because he's been spectacular year after year at keeping home runs off the board. Cue the 5 home run day for the Mets. Brett Beatty at 32-27. Same thing I said about Vientos kind of applies. He's having a better year than Vientos. He's hit 11 home runs, mediocre slash line, but a 104 WRC plus and tons of premium contact. Francisco Alvarez back in this lineup. A lot of premium contact out of him in a short sample. We saw a bunch of home runs. He's inconsistent at the plate, strikes out way too much, doesn't really walk as much as he ought to, although this year he's pushed the walk up a little bit. Interesting bat in other situations. Ronnie Mauricio, a lot of that also applies to him. 4 homers and 3 steals and 115 chances this year. Rounding the turn, coming into the home stretch. Young-Hoo Lee, 37-29, mixer at the top of the lineup. Good table setter, good correlated scoring option at worst. Elliot Ramos at 4,000, 3,000, 14 home runs. Solid bat, a lot of quality bat on ball out of him. Very good player at 4,000, 3,000. But again, tempered expectations just for offense on all sides in this one. So leaning pitching a little bit aggressively. 47-36 feels affordable for Rafi Devers. 19 home runs out of him on the season. Slow start with the Giants, but probably coming on a little bit, at least remembering a couple highlights that I've seen recently. Willie Adames at 42-31, 15 homers. He kind of pulled his season together a little bit over the stretch before the All-Star break. Needs to keep it going to make those numbers respectable, but he's up to a 103 WRC plus. The power is very, very real and always has been for Willie. Still cheap on both sites at shortstop. Mike Yastrzemski at 34-28, usable, 8 home runs, pretty mediocre season out of him with a 100 WRC plus, but he's better than that. Matt Chapman is excellent, 14 home runs and 7 steals, a 352 on base, a 129 WRC plus, monster premium contact, elite swing speed. I like Matt Chapman a lot if I'm going to the Giants. Dom Smith, Casey Schmidt, and Patty Bailey, they're all mixers. Dom never really caught on at the major league level for any kind of consistent performance. Low strikeout, capable of driving the ball from time to time. Schmidt is an okay multi-position guy, and then Patty Bailey is a loosely playable catcher who hasn't done anything this year. Logan Webb, Clay Holmes, Giants bats, Mets bats. The bats a lot less on the board in this one. Michael Knack saying Manzardo's pick on FanDuel is disturbing. I'll have to look at it. I'll keep that in mind. I'll pull it up after the show when I'm getting lineup sorted. 6:20 on your clock, though, guys. I'm going to forgo the pitching breakdown, the repeat pitching breakdown. If you want that, skip back to the beginning of the show. About 20 minutes in, did the whole thing for you. Just to top line it, though. Chunk of aces up at the top. A couple of them are offset by price. A lot of them look very much the same. You can play the price popularity game through those guys. Big group of guys projected between 25 FanDuel points and 12.5 DraftKings points and up for very fair pricing below those guys as a full tier. All those guys look the same. I would go grab the top end aces, run a crunch or two with those guys just completely off the board. Take them out of the pool so you get combinations on DraftKings of those mid-board pitchers, because it is a day with a slate like this where 2 of those guys might be able at price to outperform the more expensive guys and buy you better bats. That's a path toward winning, so it's worth doing. Then put those into your sort and your process and get the best lineups out of the full process. Obviously, you want those aces in many, many cases. Ooh, I didn't mean to rhyme at the end of the show. And then a pretty weak bottom of the board. You guys rock. We got over the 1,000 subscriber line, but we need more. Hit that subscribe if you haven't before. Hit the like button on your way out the door. I really appreciate every single one of you. The website is rotoscouts.com. I don't mention that enough. Follow the Rotoscouts Twitter handle. Subscriptions under $1 a day. All access, all sports, baseball, basketball, football, and hockey, all in. Main slate, every single main slate, every single football game, all the standalone football games as well. That's right around the corner. We're already talking about when's our draft going to be and all that stuff. Football season always sneaks up on you. But under $1 a day gets you access to all of it at Rotoscouts, guys. Good luck out there tonight. Somebody go win something. Share those results when you do, either at Rotoscouts or in Discord, at the free Discord linked in the description below. And I will see you on Monday for a new show. Content through the weekend. Let's go Yankees. I'll be at the game tomorrow. And you guys rock. See you, gang.